Okay.
I'll have to talk to him. But if somebody wants to call me about the food job later.
Okay.
What time does that start, like 6 o'clock?
All right, one of us will give you a call.
Casa?
Yeah.
No, that Taste of the Trails thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to put it down.
Well, I've already warned,
Actually, I'll put it down for 7.
well, I've already warned Pat, if we go beyond 5, she's on her own because I'm leaving.
That way I can be fashionably
I
late.
gotta leave mine on the third.
This is something we should try to go to, but it's on our selectmen's meeting
No, Catherine
next
said
week.
she-
Yes, I want to go there.
Can we do selectmen's meeting
So I'm not feeling
Wednesday
taking on it.
Right.
with no visitors?
I like this idea though.
What? No visitors? Where's no visitors?
Well, nobody coming in to sell their wares or complain or
Oh,
next Thursday, and then we'll to go see the, so we can do Casa the next night.
oh yeah, I got that at home.
All right, well, good.
Forgot what I was doing.
I'll listen to it ring. Are we getting Norm?
If you want, go ahead and open the meeting. I just have to run downstairs and grab some things and I'll be right back.
Joyce, are we waiting for Joyce, though?
You want, well, you need Catherine too. You want me to call
She's
her?
involved in that elderly lady with the electricity,
Does she just want us to start her machine?
right?
I'll find out. Joe, you stranger, how are you?
I'm doing okay, actively well.
I think we're waiting on Joyce, and I apologize for the late start.
No, why don't we just get going?
Okay. Okay, we'll open this meeting of the Selectmen's Thursday, September 15th. Let the time be shown, it's 1:14. Want to see if we can play that. Catherine's not here. Okay, let the records be shown that Selectman Boudreau is not present at this time, but I believe he is coming. Okay, I apologize for our lateness. We had a small emergency downstairs, so that's been taken care of. We have the Crederi Associates, Rip and Kim and Rick and Joyce speaking to us on, about the Ernie's used auto lot. So come on forward.
What's he doing?
He wants some ice, he wants some,
You guys have created a monster. Oops, he says. Oops.
I think this called somewhere else.
it's done. Okay, great. Sorry, we had a small emergency downstairs. So, where we're at?
Yep. I think last time, actually, I can't remember how long ago it was that we talked. We did some additional, we did some, sampling a number of months ago and had the results, and we basically did find, some contamination that we talked about. It wasn't significant, and then at that point, the town made the decision to feel comfortable acquiring the property. One of the recommendations of that phase 2 was to collect some additional data. Let's see, is it, the extent of it was arsenic in soil, is it this far, is it this far? And we went back out there and we did, we're able to figure out it's about 250 yards of contaminated soil was what we found out on site. I'm just confirming that number. Excuse me, 50 cubic yards, not 250, 50 cubic yards of soil.
How'd you determine that?
We basically, we knew where our area of contamination is, and then we put soil borings around it and sampled it at 3 different locations, and those all came up clean, so we're able to basically put a boundary around those borings and assume that everything inside that would be...
Assume everything inside was, okay.
Right. But I just think the amount that we're sort of estimating is not a significant amount,
And it may not necessarily be 50, it's just that's what's within, okay.
And that's what's toxic, that you found the arsenic and
arsenic is an exceedance of the state soil standards.
arsenic, okay.
We determined a source.
No, it's hard, sometimes it is fill material, sometimes that happens. It's not, it's in some of these, it's hard to really say.
So you're saying it may have come in with a fill and not necessarily from the auto? Because arsenic is such a strange
No. Well, it's
item.
naturally occurring in certain
I
areas
figure,
and can be mixed
right,
in.
but this is beyond natural occurring, the amounts, isn't it? I mean, usually you just find pockets that are large.
Right. In our experience on other sites, especially on fill sites, we do see arsenic in these concentrations. So, the second thing we did is we resampled the monitoring wells. We resampled the groundwater on the monitoring wells for arsenic again, just to see. It could have just been one time it exceeded. It did come back at a similar concentration. So we did confirm the arsenic in groundwater. On the property, and just in previous discussions that we had with New Hampshire DS, they indicated, well, just you're not, once the source area of arsenic is removed, hopefully then it's going to go down in groundwater, and that's kind of, but you would have to do some continuing monitoring in order to basically confirm that. So we feel at this point, and we have a draft report that's just in our final, in our final QA/QC internally. We'll go out for review to the new DES, and Joyce will get a copy of the report prior to finalizing. But we feel like we have enough data now to come up with, okay, this is the redevelopment, this is what's going to have to be done as part of the cleanup, as part of the redevelopment. And we did start that process of trying to look at the redevelopment, and then we'll then come up with costs and what that's going to be, and then work with the town to apply for grants to implement the cleanup. So if you look, I did have, and I'll pass. We came up with 2 sort of concepts, and before we really spend much more time on it, we just wanted to actually I could take that. These 3 these are all the same. Yeah. So we basically, just from what we knew about the property and what
Do we
the...
have I'll take this one, they're going to share. Thank you. Where, before you start, where did you get the information from to come up with these?
It was just based on our previous meetings that we had of just using a gravel parking lot. We didn't, the
Meetings with?
We did our meeting here, and I can't remember, with Joyce and the Conservation.
No, it was this group, and it was back in August, I believe.
We had a joint meeting.
Okay, all the
Right.
joint meetings, correct.
So there wasn't any input from the Conservation Commission yet?
They were here.
They were here too.
Yeah, they were members of the conservation here.
No, I don't remember them being here, okay. All right, good. Then we do, okay. So this is consensus from all concerned.
Well, this is just based on that, and really today, I guess the purpose of today is to get more of the consensus from this. So this was just a preliminary based on some of the discussions, but a lot of the specifics hadn't been discussed. So this is the point of today's meeting, is to make sure the concept there is consensus on concept, or what changes would we need to make on that moving forward. And once we do have that, we'll go back and be able to apply some cost estimates for cleanup and for the parking lot, and then also work with the community in order to help apply for grants, which should be sometime in October or November. And that would be due.
It's almost a tease. Do you think it will ever look like this?
Is this taking into consideration this parcel Looks like it's also taking into consideration the piece of conservation property to the side.
In our site, if you look at the actual site plan, is we don't take that into account.
No.
And we tried to leave it, and that's why there's that gravel kind of triangle going down, because that's sort of the existing gravel.
See the little brook?
Oh, I see.
That's
Okay.
very close, I think, to the boundary line.
Wow, you're getting an awful lot in there for that space. That's,
Yeah.
it really,
That looks bigger than what we know that it is.
it really does open it up to a,
Is that the house that's up there?
That's the adjacent property. What's the frontage? Yeah. I would have to scale that off.
You got a copy of the tax map?
Our site plan should be to scale, so...
From here to here.
I mean, it's over 200 feet of frontage.
Oh, I think it's not.
and this is all gravel? This-
Yeah, we would just do a gravel parking lot, because that would be the most inexpensive.
Oh, I see it here, gravel, okay.
We did, if you look, we did add some additional, like where there's existing gravel, we did add some loam and seed in order to, because we didn't need, the gravel area extends around the buildings deep, and we thought putting loam and seed there would look, looks nicer
Yeah.
than leaving it as gravel, but that's why you have the gravel triangle off the property, because that's the existing gravel that is sitting there.
Oh, I was
that
going
we're
to say,
touching.
so that's why that's there,
Yeah,
that
that's why that is
arm.
there, because that's not our property that we're looking at, so.
That's where, if in fact we ended up with that piece, we could continue this whole,
Right.
I thought the brook was more closely the boundary, the culvert. Maybe I'm wrong.
it looks like the
You know
culvert.
what? It takes a right. It takes a right.
Yes, I have a different site plan that has existing conditions.
Yeah, it takes a right.
Right, so it goes out, and then here it shows it.
I
here.
forgot it did that.
So that would still lead us, if we ended up with that piece of property, we could extend this plan over into that, which would make it even much prettier. It's just,
Never going to be anything more than just a piece of property, no matter who owns it.
but we could still carry the paved walkway, the trees, the grass area, over to that area and just make it clean. That would be
Right.
very, very pretty.
Yep.
It would open up the line of sight. I mean, it would really do a lot of things for that area.
Sure it would.
How, I don't remember not being on the property, how much, are there any, I know there's the evergreens that share the boundary on the left as you're facing the river. In the back between, it's kind of a,
You're right.
the hay kind of, the grassy area kind of goes to the river. Are there any trees along the shoreline? And I'm thinking of Shoreland Protection Act.
Right, we do have that, and probably on this, on the rendering, we should add some more trees onto that. It's not open like that.
You know what, after what we've gone through with Riverfront Park, I think the less trees, the better, because this isn't supposed to be woodland, it's supposed to be about the river. And we're going to have a forest in Riverfront Park. Right now, it's nice because they're small and we can see the river. When those trees grow up, we're going to have a forested park.
Now, how does this take care of the arsenic area? How are you going to fill in the demolished area?
Right.
Do you fill that in with concrete, or how do you do it?
No, it would just be soil, clean fill that we bring in. So as part of the soil removal, which would be, if you did, basically there's an EPA brownfields cleanup grant, which would kind of be the next topic of discussion. You would be able to pay for the demolition of the building, any of the backfilling, any of the removal of the arsenic contaminated soil, any of the additional monitoring that you might need to be doing. And what we try to do is add a little bit of site restoration to that. When you're backfilling, you would backfill, gravel if that's where you need to be, put gravel in, loam and seed over the areas that you would, where you excavate the soil in order to basically restore the site back to, but we would restore it back to where you want it to be, not what it's currently. So we would be able to add some of the additional features that we have.
And that's with the grant monies that this is why we held out to taking the building down, so we could, we're still in the running for those grant monies, correct?
Right, but just to be clear, though, the application hasn't even come out yet. It should come out any day, the application, and then
Right.
it's late. It's going to be due at the end of October or early November.
Yeah, November 1st, isn't it?
And when does it get awarded?
It'll get awarded in May, and then you'll be able to, the funds...
May? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was early spring.
No. It's, and then it operates off of the federal fiscal year, too, so, which is October 1st. So the actual work on using this grant the realistic time frame is starting October 1st for the demolition and site restoration.
So we're putting this off a whole year.
Well, they'll let us know May if we get the grant.
Yep.
If we get the grant, that's a done deal. We've got the grant. The monies are coming. Is it possible for us to do the work and let the grant reimburse the town?
There's no reimbursement.
No, I mean, we couldn't do the work and then,
You can always talk to EPA.
Right.
You can always talk to EPA. Typically, you have to get the money in hand, and then you're allowed to go ahead and expense against it.
Right.
yeah.
However,
Same with the fire.
you can always talk to EPA and see what they would say.
Right, it's definitely worth asking. It's been asked before, and it's never been allowed retroactive.
We had some expenses done on our particular grant prior to the effective date of that grant, and it was, you can cover those expenses, but it's at your risk if it doesn't come through.
So for all intents and purposes, we can't do the work until October.
That'd be the safe bet.
All right, so that's the plan.
That really changes the whole thing with, I know it is what it is, but when we made this agreement last...
We thought we'd be doing it in the spring and the summer.
Spring and the summer, it would be
All right.
completed by the summer. It's not going to be completed until...
There might be something, though, that just another thing is you can't do it before you're awarded the grant. You can start some of the work. Like Kim said, if you're being awarded it in May, you can start some of the work, and especially there's a match, that if you have funds like to demo the building that you already had set aside, you can go ahead and demo the building, and that will count as the match for the future. So that could be sort of a balance, is that if you
Okay.
have cash for your match, you're awarded the grant, and then you can go ahead and spend that cash that you might be spending anyway. And that way, you're not really at risk of the grants. You have that money, and you're using that work
So once,
anyway.
okay.
All right, but for all intents and purposes, we'll plan on October.
May, doing some of, starting some of the work.
Putting that building down, perhaps.
Get the building down, get some of the, design bidding, so that when October 1st, and you're really out there, and you can be done by the end of October.
You really want to
It should be a quick
confirm
project.
prior to spending your match, though, that
Yeah.
they'll count that as that.
Absolutely.
Definitely
Right.
double check that, but it sounds like a good plan.
So you want to double check that. Well, that's even more realistic, because now we have a situation where we said, spring until May. If, realistically, if we could do the demolition part of it, which was what they really wanted to have happen, the Conservation Commission wanted to have happen, then we could go forth and do that. That's more realistic. This whole project is what, a month,
To be done.
to be done?
Yeah, it's not.
Once the building is down. It's about a
Well,
month.
Even with the building, I mean.
You've got permits to get from, we've got a lot of work to do before we do anything.
Original estimate we had from the different companies about taking the building down, that would take them 3 days.
Okay, that's not bad.
The first day, they had to go in and remove the asbestos, which is really just a piece of flooring and ceiling tile, and some wraparound and then furnace. That means every day, they're really getting to demolishing the building and taking away the parts. And they're picking up their parts.
Where are we at on the bridge?
We went through that process that was required in the grant, and put out and asked for engineers that were interested in design, present their credentials to the town of Northfield as municipal land. There were several companies that presented their credentials, and Northfield Selectmen reviewed them all, and they did make a selection of one, which they forwarded to Tom Jameson, ask if DOT would approve that. And I'm sorry I did not bring my folder. One that I know you've done work with before, and that Northfield has done work with before, and that they multiple projects.
Quantum.
Oh, that's cowboy boots.
No, this is Lisa. This is Quantum, Quantum Construction, not Turner.
Right, but he's part of Quantum. He's not part of Turner, he's part of Quantum. Yes, he is.
He's done work with Lisa, but she's the principal.
What the heck's his name?
Jim Turner.
No,
No, Jim,
Bouchard.
So it sits with Tom Jameson.
Oh, I know what you
to say
mean.
Yes or no. Because that group has worked successfully with both towns, it's very likely that the Department of Transportation will approve of it. When that happens, then we'll need to put together our design committee, as we talked about before.
Right.
And then we meet with the engineer and all of on the thing, and they start to come up with different things. The very first part that they do is they have to look at where we have potential landing sites on both sides of the river, and then study those to make sure that it can support the bridge with buffets, because everything else revolves around that. And then they start to work on designs with us.
Now, what about, I vaguely remember us talking about some of the sites for areas taking out where the bridge comes onto the land and digging out around there for the soil and then replacing the soil there. Do you still have to do that for the bridge? Is that area where you would put the bridge, would that still be the area where you have to, I know you spoke about taking out the soil here for the arsenic.
On this plan that Rick gave you, it shows the new gravel path going to the existing railroad tracks. It wouldn't have to be quite that way. The bridge would have to end up on the Ernie's property.
Okay.
Tilton side, so it would be somewhere along the shore of that.
And is that soil that you have to replace as well in order to?
We don't expect that to be contaminated, so I don't see that being an issue.
Okay.
Because the actual new bridge will be downstream some from the existing bridge, but has to be on the Ernie's property, not on the neighbor's property.
Okay.
And on the Northfield side, we've already got a written agreement for an easement from the property owner that's directly across. And there's a strip over there that's about 56, 57 feet wide that has a potential to move one way or the other 20 feet in either direction to find a place that's proper, an angle and the subsoils and rock and everything.
Just one other point that I'll just also wanted to make is that the bridge, we're not really, the bridge is, considered as for our works a separate project, so that's, obviously determined by others. One other
Right.
thing to keep in mind, though, with your sequencing, though, is I think you want to have the bridge done before you do any of the finishing work, because you don't want to have trucks going up and down.
Right,
Right.
right.
That more impacts, I think, the timing more so than it probably ties in well with your timing when the grant is coming in October. That
Right.
gives time for the bridge to be done, and then you do your final, site restoration work anyway, when the bridge would have to already be in there too. So I think that's good.
And we're going to be a part of the design team, right? Okay. I really like the rendering.
Yeah, I do too. I think
I
it's
think
very
it's
nice.
very open space. I think the town, it's really nicely laid out.
It'll be very
But just
attractive
again, to
the
clarify,
environment.
right along the river part though, I do think with shoreline zoning, you just can't strip along the river.
Right.
No.
You need to add more
What you
We
take
understand.
away and you put back, and
Yep.
So
Yeah,
there'll be a lot more
I remember being back
trees
there
to...
cleaning up.
And basically, and again, depending on what, the bridge is more going to dictate where, like, we typically wouldn't touch what's along. I mean, actually, if you look on the site plan, it keeps the wooded area, and that's what we
Right.
wouldn't be touching, that wooded area, except
Right.
for what's going to the bridge, which would be part of the other permitting, so we would add the wooded area back onto this rendering as part of
Yeah.
the development, so- which is going to show it much more thicker.
but we can thin that wooded area. There's a lot of shrub.
Does that get cleaned up in this project? I mean, this, along the shoreline, does that get cleaned up? All the area?
Cleaned up of what, shrubbery or?
Yeah, shrubbery, clean.
There's a certain amount that DES will let you take out, which is the invasive species. Right. But, wait, for shoreline protection, typically if you take out a tree, you have to replace it.
Right.
Or if you can't replace the tree, then you put in X amount of shrubbery or something to replace that. There's an exchange that takes place depending on what you do.
It seems like there's a great deal of overgrowth along towards the existing conservation piece down at the end where we drive in now.
Yeah.
That's all overgrown. I
Used to
would like
be-
to see some of that cleared out.
Used to be a
That's state
hedge.
property, is it not?
Well, that's to be determined.
Well,
Currently state property, is it not?
No.
just before you get to the
Tilton
state.
property.
Well, the state thinks it's theirs and we think it's ours.
Yes, well, the state has a deed that says it's
We have a deed that says it's ours.
purchased from some guy. I'll give you a deed to anything you want, Catherine.
But their deed came from the same place our deed did.
Joe, it's just before you
It's
get to
being,
that piece of property
litigated.
was what I'm talking about.
Is this the time to give you input on your rendering?
Please.
I think that we are not being considerate of our neighbor, having that gravel parking lot with no buffer between it and that home. It's going to cause dust, noise, exhaust fumes, lower their home value. There definitely needs to be some sort of evergreen buffer there.
And/or a fence.
I would like to
Keep
see
people from wandering.
a fence that is not high maintenance. I'd like to see more, maybe an evergreen fence. An evergreen border. Only takes some trimming. The car goes too far into it, oh well. We don't have to replace rails, we don't have to paint it, and it's not going to rot away. And it also is much more natural to the surroundings.
No, I agree. That's a good.
I would move that parking lot. It looks like it's right on the boundary. If those evergreens designate the boundary from where it is now, I would move that edge of that parking lot just to be kind to them, a good 10 feet from the boundary. In fact, I think we have to be 20 feet. What is the side setback?
Gravel, it wouldn't matter. It's only for impervious surface.
If you do that, they will use those 20 feet,
Who will?
the neighbor. They already have.
Not if we put the evergreen border right on our boundary all the way around.
Yeah.
And just have a little green space with shrubs and
Yeah.
whatnot. I mean,
Okay,
what I'm
because there
saying
is an
is,
issue right now that he
because
does use it.
my next comment is in that 10 feet that we take, that we shrub it up, which gives a good, deciduous border there.
Right.
I think that's a good comment.
You know, we'll put in some, Rosa rugosa. They won't be walking in there.
Oh,
That grows fast and tall.
no, they won't be.
Something to that extent.
I know Mr. Sullivan is very interested in having a buffer.
Yeah, there should be a good buffer. It would be nice to have an access to the river for a boat takeout. We have one in Riverfront Park, but this would be much more user-friendly.
Just to make sure I understand, I can't remember the river, you're talking boat or you're talking more canoe?
Well,
Kayak,
kayak and
whatever.
canoe.
Kayak, right,
Yeah,
not boat.
Rubber raft.
just,
I couldn't
We
remember.
would only want to use the term boat because people will bring boats in there.
Rivercraft.
Well, I have a flat-bottom boat I run in the river, and I could take it out of there easily. But, and I think this is before the, well, yeah, it is, it's before where the dam used to be, that's a little bit of rapids there.
Well, coming out of Silver Lake, the water's about 3 inches deep for a long way, so there's no large boats going down there.
My flat-bottom boat goes through there nicely.
My kayak
But I have to
gets
use my
stuck.
oars.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Rick, it seems at one time we walked around over there and there was some concern about the width of the easement that we have coming off of the bridge and heading along the trail. Has that been sorted out?
Yes.
We're all set with that now, are we?
We met with Tom Jamison, we looked at that in more detail than and there's enough width. If you have any problem at all with it, you can ask for a waiver from state and plan design to make the trail narrower on that one little spot.
An 8-foot as opposed to 10-foot perhaps, yeah.
Major issue there was there was one really nice tree that we were thinking probably would want to be saved. So we make the trail narrower to stay away from that tree.
Good.
The Conservation Commission will meet Monday night.
I think we should send one of these to them.
They should have a copy of this, and I'll probably go to their meeting, but they should get a copy of this so we can get their input.
It's okay, I'll try to quickly incorporate the comments I received. That way, it can be another level of review too, and really well. So
Excellent.
I'll email it.
Very good.
I gotta just comment with it. One of the things we try to do a lot with transportation and land use is to look at points of access to a site. And here with just the kind of 200 plus feet perhaps of frontage, and believing that this site's going to get a fairly high level of use and visitation, if there could be a one main entry egress point on that property, and going maybe even with the theme of vegetative kind of a buffer, it might be a signature as to people knowing where
In
they
and
are.
out.
Just go,
Yeah.
just go
So a
down there.
definitive ingress and egress.
Right,
Right, okay. And
Good idea.
a lot better traffic control
right.
for safety purposes and other things.
It'll keep out the
It's a good
big
idea.
tractor trailer trucks too. Hallelujah.
Better
Chief.
idea.
Do you agree with that? Going in and out on the gravel path?
What is the width of some of this? Do you have that scale, the width of this? Of which part? Of the parking area?
Should never start eating this candy. I can't stop.
It's about 50 feet.
What is this? Oh, here it is, down here. 1 inch equals 20 feet.
Right, this is scaled down though, so you need to actually use the actual graphic scale when you're scaling out. The scale is accurate on the bigger plan that I have over there.
Oh, okay,
This is just shrunk down, just we have it by 11 by 17.
okay.
No, that's on the back page. Yeah, so, and we could hedge.
To do that, you might have to extend the parking area a little bit too, to create a little bit of a thread
Right.
in this area.
Well, would you, if you're moving it this way, just a little bit, or buffering this spot here, then you would be able to move it this way a little bit?
I'm thinking with Copeland right across the street, that might be a good place to try to align it. Is that what the name of that street is?
Copeland, yes, Copeland Road,
Yeah.
right?
Just to kind of tee it up right there. Yeah, line it opposite Copeland.
You know what might be pretty along there too is, those posts in the ground with just one rail going across. It doesn't have to be real high, just high enough to keep cars from pulling in.
Well, or like something like Riverfront Park, granite posts and chains. Of course, granite posts are
Yeah.
expensive, but at least when cars hit them, they don't.
Well, they snap off too, as we found out.
They do. They're pretty spendy, aren't they?
But I mean, if we did something like that, you could still plant along there, but the post and, rail would at least give it a while for the shrubbery to come up and,
I'm telling you, Rosa Rugosas take a year.
Across from Copeland? Make it directly across from Copeland?
Stuff like that.
Well, going back to the
Rosa
first question,
Rugosa,
I do
the
think
old-fashioned rose.
it'd be less
You usually see them on the seacoast,
Give you the ability
great big
to plant
orange hips
grass
this time of year.
Okay.
They blossom most of the year.
They were kind of thinking of maybe either a fence along the roadway in the middle or some type of greenery so that it signifies going in and out, so that they just can't come in randomly and park, so that you have more traffic control.
I like that. I think it would be more organized and
Right.
less likely to have an accident.
So if you better define it sort of kind of across from Copeland to come in,
DOT's really the one that's going to define where it goes.
Well, actually,
this
we can
is all
define where
open.
it is, and then we'll ask them,
They'll come and look at it.
and they'll come and look at it. They
Yeah.
never say no.
Yeah, I don't know that it
We have driveways that makes no sense.
inlet or outlet.
Oh, I agree.
Directly in front of Copeland, not necessarily.
Yeah, but wouldn't for traffic flow, having everything
See that
lined
one
up,
spot?
maybe?
we're looking for safety reasons, not necessarily for having it directly across from Copeland, but you're coming out of Copeland and you're coming out of there. Do you want to move it up a bit, or?
If you're taking a left turn, it's good to have them right opposite.
Right.
Yeah, it's far better
agree
to
with
have
you.
traffic
I think it should be opposite.
at a four-way than,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're taking a left-hand turn, you're better to have it right across from them.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit more room, and if there was an event going on there, we could pull traffic in or out.
I think it's wonderful
Yeah, I
rendition.
do too. I like it.
Depending on the trees we put in there now.
Yep,
I'm telling you, the fewer the better.
right. Well, like we...
Within the park itself, you mean?
Yep,
Yep, and I'd put maples. Nothing is prettier along the river than a maple. They're the first ones that turn.
I love maples.
Yeah. No acorns.
I hate those acorns.
He said he had to stick with red maple or something that's common with river areas. So that's what we planted down there.
Oh, red maples are just awesome on the river.
Well, anybody else have any questions on?
No.
For Kim? Joyce, go ahead.
So this plan and what we're applying for to EPA is going to address the removal of the arsenic-laden soil.
Plus the building removal and the asbestos that's inside there.
Okay.
And then any of the long-term groundwater monitoring that might be required moving forward after the soil removal. And then we would include costs for site restoration that is in there, which could be part of this, and we'll have to work on how we divide the projects up. The grant is up to $200,000, so for us, we typically operate that, we try to get as much eligible as possible to make sure that you have $200,000 worth of eligible costs. That being said, though, there is a 20% match that is required, and that is something that, depending on what funding you have, the additional funding, which one is the more advantageous, likely or less. If there's certain sources that you can use as match, we can use in-kind services, or Public Works could do some of the work. That would also count as the match grant. You still have to pay for for Public Works from the town budget, but that's if you have certain resources that you can use that can count as in-kind services too. I know that there's some funding already for the demo, that would count. So I think there's many ways to look at it. I'd also suggest that you still apply for the whole $200,000. If you don't need it, you just don't take it, you know what I mean? And
Right.
it's better. There's been so many times in our experience that owners had other sources of funding, and then things, or the timing, it's too
Yeah.
far out, and things get delayed, and we they kick themselves that they didn't just apply, and if you don't need the money, just don't accept it. I mean, but it does sound like it would fit in, and
Sure.
Wasn't there a third contaminant on the site?
The PHAs.
yeah, there was the PAHs there that will still be managed in place. That was there. We basically knew where that was, so we didn't do any additional sampling for that. It's not creating a groundwater issue, and we would be recommending it just stay in place.
How far below the surface is it?
Well, we didn't, we would basically be recommending it's that there's a clean cover on the top 2 feet would be clean, so that way it prevents, it's a direct contact hazard. So
But-
the extent to answer your question, I mean, we have some samples that, to be honest, I don't know how deep, but I think in our samples we're 5 feet, 5 feet down. I'm not sure if we did surface
Okay,
samples.
so that was my question, is we don't actually have to cover anything because there's enough soils already on top of them?
I would have to look, and we would incorporate that though into the plan when we do our review.
Okay.
But that is one of the.
I mean, we're not going to have any little hummocks?
No, well, what we would try to do is look at, especially if there's fill when the building is done, is when we had to regrade, we would use that surface to fill it in and then fill with our clean soil if we had to in those areas. If we remove the arsenic soil, the 50 yards, we would
Oh, yeah,
also fill
that's a
that
given.
with the surface soil.
That's a given.
And try not to be bringing in.
Part of the coordination when you know from engineering group that works on the design of the bridge, where the footing on the Tilton side would be, we know from the design, the original discussion, it's got to be up a little bit above the river for flood protection. So when it comes down, there's an approach, and that's got to get built up. So we try to align that quicker as a pathway, so it covers the areas above the
Now, when you build this bridge, when you're talking about the approaches to it, they're going to have to be ADA, right? So it'd have to be a very long sloping transition.
We did address that in the front
You'll have to grass the sides to stabilize it, won't you? Hadn't thought of that
One other
before.
question. Now, what
That could be
about,
long.
what do we have to do about DES? at this? Because they talked about a soil management plan. We talked about there might be some more groundwater sampling. So what do we do, how do we deal with DES?
Well, they have to get your report, and then they'll respond, right?
Right, they'll either accept it, we have recommendations at the end, and we'd be working with them, they would have to give you a letter basically acknowledging application for the, from the, to the EPA for the cleanup grant too, so we'd be working with them as we're they would be reviewing, we're gonna develop costs and as part of the reuse
Okay.
plan that way, and they will have a chance to review, I'll make sure they're on board with what our approach is.
When we actually get to the phase where we're ready to think about doing construction, then we'll have to permit for doing the work right on the edge of the river.
Shoreline protection. Now, the permitting process from DES for what we're going to do along the riverside, not including the bridge, unless you know about the bridge before we get there, we can do that anytime. The grant, there's nothing to do with the grant, correct? I mean, once we get pinned down what we want the site to look at, we can go forward with getting permits from DES, can we not?
As long as you're not relying on the cleanup funding to help pay for that service.
The soil management plan and groundwater monitoring, we would want to.
Right, but the permitting process through DES,
Part of design.
right, we can go forward with, because sometimes those can take up to 6 months. And I'm sure, talking with them about some kind of, car top boat takeout area. I don't say launch, because they're
Plan by that. The plan will have to be completed if you're going to take it to the...
substantially, yes, to take to DES, yes,
For wetlands, for our permit.
yeah,
Shoreline.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're wanting,
So where's that in the timing of things? If there's going to be some alteration down in the shoreline area.
I look at the shoreline, though, as really part of the bridge and as part of that other, using the other funding source. So
the bridge really, no matter where it lands, the impact is the same, is it not?
Right, I'm looking at more from our perspective, I guess. I would look at that sort of not, the responsibilities on the engineer that you're hiring, I would think it fits in with their...
But I'm thinking more of clearing
The car top access
the shrubbery away from the river
into the river.
is far more of an impact than that bridge landing.
You'll look at it probably a little bit more closely.
Sure they will, because of the exchange you have to make when you're removing vegetation along the river. And the Winnipesaukee River is,
Is there
Big.
another takeout place close?
there's one in Riverfront Park.
Okay.
But this one will be before the rapids in our river.
This would be a nice safe takeout.
Yeah, so this could be for anyone. I mean, the rapids aren't much, but for someone who's not familiar with a kayak, it could be.
Yeah.
Could get a little wet.
Yeah.
The river's pretty lazy up until that point. It really is.
The other rivers are,
It gets interesting once you go beyond this, where the old dam used to be. Once you hit that point, the river becomes quite interesting. Not as challenging as Franklin, but quite interesting.
I've never made it over to the New Year's.
Oh, those guys, I tell you.
Sometimes you see people that put it all the way up off of 40 on the
Right.
Yeah,
land.
Yep.
Yes.
Come all the way down the river and then illegally come down right down.
yes, they won't, because they won't, if you have young kids with you, I wouldn't take some of my grandchildren over it. Some I would.
It was kind of a site plan where you have a top takeout on site near a water body.
No, I mean, the permitting, I'm an environmental engineer, so we don't deal with it. We go with a civil engineer who's done the permitting, so it's just not, that's not, we have a civil engineer in office who did that, so it's not, I don't do the permitting, but that's.
We were involved with the Woodstock River Trail Committee and the Shoreline Protection Grant, and one of those big riverfront improvement grants for the Chesapeake Park and Franklin.
Okay.
And we've got an idea in the design phase where the access to the river would be. We didn't know exactly. And we said somewhere in this city, put it. And then they calculated the basal areas of the trees, how much could be removed and something to do. They said this replaces that. Somewhere within this piece, the exact piece can be determined on a standard day. And we did go for permit, and we were granted it. But we had to then show them the exact spot. And we got to that point.
We're going to have the shoreline enforcement officer at a commission meeting on September 26th. That could be a good question for her as well, because they made some changes. It's no longer called the Comprehensive Shoreline Protection Act. It's called the Shoreline Water Quality Protection Act, and there have been a lot of changes
Yeah.
to it as well.
It's been done. When we did Riverfront Park, we got DES involved almost when we were conceptualizing the shoreline. And, it actually gave them some ownership. We bring the plans down with us, this is where we're at, how do you see this? And, we have 3 fishing piers, a car top, boat takeout area, and, their advice placed those where you see them today.
That's the way to
So it worked very well because, they helped design what the shoreline looks like there, and that's how I see this going, is we take it down, before it's, we may think it's finalized, we take it to them and get their input, and now we've shuffled some things.
I wonder if we could submit something to DES and have John, maybe one of these folks at DES and get a response on that.
It's far better if you take it down and sit with them and have a conversation with them about it, and the exchange of ideas. They get a feel for what, we're looking at and why we're doing it. Why would we have a car takeout there when we already have one down here? Because we know the river that goes through our area better than they do. That kind of thing. So that's why I ask, it would be nice if we got that ball rolling before they change too much more.
so how do we thank the advisory committee for all this? This is wonderful. This is wonderful.
Great stuff.
Yeah. You need any more information from us? You're going to meet with the Conservation Commission, they're going to give you some comments, and then we move forward then to...
Right, we're going to meet Monday with the Conservation Commission, and we'll forward the information with,
Put it right.
we got to ask for permission to get on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll call Eliza. All right, and send her an email. Just say we'd like to be part of the meeting.
Having lunch with her tomorrow.
Oh, are you, would
Don't
you?
mention it, but
Yeah.
if you want to do a form, we'll do a formal.
I don't know that it has to be formal, just so that she knows that, just tell her we want to come in and speak to them about what we learned about Ernie's and, get any ideas they might have. It's a shame they didn't come today.
You should know about that.
He did, and he's got a template as well for the grant that he has.
This has happened a couple times in the past, and then they treat the well when they have it retested, and they have to have it retested again, and they pass, and hallelujah.
Okay.
But thanks, I didn't realize it wasn't in compliance right now.
So, just for clarification, the Conservation Commission is going to look at this version or a version?
I'm going to try to get it quickly updated to incorporate that, the comments that we had, so that way they'll at least see where it's going. And then
Okay, well, can you get it to us
Don't show
before
them
Monday?
this.
I'll try to email it to you, to Joyce, and Rick.
Okay.
So, and we can
I just
print
don't
out
know if
another 11 by 17.
Silas,
What I'm gonna do is go, and once I print them out, maybe go have
At Staples.
Yeah, the
Yep.
chief has it up, the actual site on his computer, and there really aren't any substantial trees except for the evergreens.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do, Catherine, is they're going to update the information, our input, make some changes, email the changes, and then Joyce is going to take that to Staples and print it, and we'll bring it Monday night to with the changes and the input that we've given them. I think that's a great idea, and then we can take it. You're going to go to Conservation
I'll go Monday night. They probably should, I mean, we can add those, I guess they don't have to be in the conceptuals. There should be like a little picnic area.
Well, I think that there's plenty of room for a picnic area. It's just a...
I don't see any
Right.
signage. Is there to be no signage?
We'll do that
Saki
later.
Trail.
I think the signage comes later where you want to designate what you want to do with it.
Right. Put up
But
a
it
little-
should say something about the trail somewhere on a sign,
Yeah.
I would think.
The picnic tables would be nice.
Ronnie Martin's Wayside.
I think at Ernie's Park. I like it, that's what I call it.
all our local restaurants, they come and set up food, have a
Oh, do they? Ooh, we'll have to think about what to call it.
It's the
Did Joe
Thursday
want
after
to ask him about like sweet?
Yeah, we looked at that. Oh, no, we don't want it then.
10-year plan?
James Dodge Park.
No, I moved them behind. I figure people don't really start paying attention till a month before.
Right.
So I did set out some stuff over the weekend. You guys, I checked with you about here.
I haven't paid attention until a month before because I'm making cutting boards for the auction.
So I'll give you
Yeah.
over $10,000.
It's a fine auction too. There's some really nice
We
things.
had a fantastic time last year. It was really nice. Everybody just had a ball.
So we'll do it again. I don't know if we'll do it next year, maybe take a break, do something else.
Or just try something else. Here, you want this back? You're welcome.
Kim, I think Joe and I had a question on a non-related Winnipesaukee Trail,
Oh, yes.
10-year plan.
the 10-year plan.
10-year plan, okay.
Yeah.
We had a meeting this morning with the DOT and on a safety issue for intersection of Silver Lake Road and Route 3. And
We'd love to do what we needed to do to start the process to get that street onto the DOT 10-year plan to upgrade the intersection. It's dangerous. Numerous accidents have happened there. The whole ingress, egress, whatever, from the store next door and the restaurant across the street, and the way Silver Lake is designed and the setbacks, it's just a horror show over there.
so they had
That's the
said,
road that goes,
Right by
Right
the
next
Tilton
to-
Nursery.
No, that's Brook Road.
in between Tilton Nursery and Smoke and Barley,
It's right by the old Mohawk.
across from Meltaway Restaurant, right there.
okay.
So it's really,
Bad intersection.
They didn't realign it when they did the reconstruction of Silver Lake Road. They were going to realign it so it was a more perpendicular intersection. It's still angular. And, your line of sight is blocked by the nursery's fence, and
Yeah.
depending on what they have on display, the little hill just up beyond Smoke and Barley. And,
The Smoke and Barley customer cars themselves.
Well, they had suggested, they're going to do a couple of things, and they're going to put it down on paper, that they're going to do a study on the traffic volume. They had suggested a light, but they had also, there's some setbacks in doing that because it's going to slow down the traffic in the area, and they want to make sure that they do the research. They're also looking into the right-of-way for Tilton Nursery, and maybe we can move the fence back a little bit. They want to talk to the owners of Smoke and Barley to see if they can rearrange their parking lot a little bit better so that their displays and their egress and ingress for the Silver Lake Road is better served onto Route 3. And then they had suggested to us that we get on, meet with you folks, is it the Gasset meeting on the 26th?
Yeah.
the hearings that are
And try to
taking
get in
place.
on the 10-year.
Franklin.
There's one in Laconia
One
at
in
8
Laconia.
a.m., 11 in
6,
Plymouth.
And one on Monday at 11 a.m.
Plymouth.
in Moltenboro.
And that's when they strongly suggested that we get involved and try to get into the 10-year plan because it really was deserving of that.
And the other possibility is they look at it as a safety issue.
That's
That's your best bet.
And
that's
develop it
that's
that
a
way.
huge safety
Highway
issue.
Safety Improvement Program.
Right.
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 And there's more flexibility in that program.
Right.
If this project hasn't been identified yet at the regional level and gone through the regional process, it's going to be at the end of the line, and that line is, it can get reprioritized, but we just went through that April of this year. We needed to submit what our next recommendations were for the following 2 years. So it'll be 2 years before that gets any substantial review if you go through the process of what everybody's going through. But the Highway Safety Improvement Program, it sounds like you talk to those folks if they're talking about coming out and maybe doing a special assessment of that intersection. But I'll follow up on this back at the office.
Okay.
Do you know who you're talking with?
We spoke with
Jim Lambert.
Jim,
Jim Lambert?
Mark Morrow was there.
Bill
Oh,
Lambert.
Bill Lambert.
Bill Lambert.
Toby,
Mark Morrow was there.
what was Toby's last name? I forget.
Toby.
Toby.
Toby works with...
You have his card?
Mr.
Bill?
Lambert.
Bob, do you have?
To a Stu? Was there
No.
Stuart?
Nope,
Stuart?
just the three of them.
The three of them came out and looked at
Toby
it.
Reynolds.
Toby Reynolds. Bill kind of headed the conversation and looked it over, and there was some signage. There were some immediate things that we could do, like the signage. There was some signage on top of signage that we could remove, and that's easy, that's not a problem, but we had some abutting neighbors that came across, and we've done 30, 40 years of just accidents there over and over and over again.
They go accident counts.
And so what they're waiting for now is the chief is going to forward to Bill the accident history, and then they're going to do an actual traffic count. And they recently did a traffic count when they did Silver Lake Road.
Well, that was what, 5
years ago.
Probably 5 years.
When,
5 years ago, so they really need to do another one. So they're moving in that direction, but they did suggest we speak specifically to you to get onto the 10-year.
That's, like I said, a 2-year process. We can look at maybe the HSIP as being a way to facilitate that.
Okay.
If
We
can get on
should,
the- Go ahead.
we should go forward with trying to get on the 10-year plan, because, if they do the traffic counts, and depending on when they do the traffic counts, it might not show enough traffic on Silver Lake Road. I mean, we know that it's heavy in the summer, we know it's heavy in the fall with the foliage, because there's a lot of summer camps out there, and there's 2 campgrounds. But, depending on when they do the traffic count, they might decide that there's not enough traffic on the road to warrant the light.
We had what, 6, 7 improvements, I think, in the draft interim plan along 3 and 11. And I don't recall the conversation on that particular road. Times changed, that was a while ago.
It's a
They were
major
going to-
connector between 140 and Route 3 for people headed toward Laconia. So they don't have to go all the way down 140 to the lights and then go all the way up Route 3.
Well,
They
that's-
cut across Jamestown Road and then down Silver Lake. I live on Silver Lake. It's busy, cars all day long. For a small road, it gets quite a workout.
When we did the reconstruction, that's why it remains a Class 2 state aid road.
Good, good. All along.
Great,
I'll get back to you, let us, do some follow-up.
Appreciate it.
See what that's,
that'd be great.
where we go, get back to Joyce.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you, all of you, for,
Thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you, gentlemen.
appreciate it. Great job on the rendering, I love it.
Maybe just give these to,
Well, I've got the comments, so I think
Okay.
yeah, you want to hold these? Yeah.
Show Eliza, thank you. Donna, are you going away, or are you?
I'm around that week.
She's the only one that stuck with us all along, so.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Get my mess. She has to leave at
So do I. That's good.
3. You have to leave at 3 too?
Yeah.
Do we have a quorum? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have 3. I prearranged to bring Ian to Concord, so I'd be back here for my 4:30 appointment.
Come sit for a minute.
This is just... Market candy bar last night. I didn't even think about it.
Oh, you cruel bitch.
You're on camera.
I went downstairs to go to the door. What's the matter? Get that off. I didn't think. Thank you.
That's interesting.
I was telling him I gave Mark a candy bar last night, then I walked on.
Camera, because it's going to just get my head.
Okay, good. Yeah. It's gonna just see the plastic, but, go ahead.
I'm going to be blocking it.
Go ahead and move it. Shut it off first.
Do that all the time.
Shut it off first and do it.
Oh, yeah, there's one in the truck. He's got a,
I have to talk about the...
oh yeah, he has to have a straw. Thank you, that's very sweet.
Did you cut this? Delicious. Did you turn off
Here.
the camera?
No, it's on right now.
Does she know? Look at Mark. You guys are
He likes
spoiling
that
him.
idea.
Here, we'll hide it like this.
Okay.
All right,
I gotta hear from Tim before I leave, because number 6 is driving me crazy.
yep.
You've stretched it out, kept it in suspense.
Well, either we switch or we don't. You know?
Got it hidden.
I'll just bring it to you and you can cut it over there while Tim is doing it. All right,
Weren't
where is
they
she?
the ones that, weren't they the ones that weren't, they didn't waive the fees like the other one that we're using now did? They just showed us how we would, the money we'd earn would offset the fees.
We would have,
Wouldn't it have been nice if the money we earned?
we would have earned almost 6 times more in interest 2 months ago than we did. Had we been, even with the minimums and all that, when we factored all out. Right now, we're earning 1/5. I'm not on yet.
Oh, you're not on?
No, no.
We're just talking.
We're just talking, so if,
I don't know.
it's
Oh, it
on.
is on.
It's on.
Even with the fees,
Okay.
even with all the fees?
Even with the fees, yes.
Because they're charging us for deposits, for the deposit, and then each item on the deposit.
When it's all said and done, when you net,
Right, but that's because
still
the
earning.
earnings offset the fees.
many times earning more money with my recommendation.
Well, let's get them to waive the fees.
It is a very standard,
They do?
3 of the 4 operate that way.
I see that, I saw that.
Okay. We just want to, ready?
Yes.
So we just want to take a second to honor our most favorite reporter who stuck it out with us, the only reporter who stuck it out with us all year long, and wish her a very happy birthday to Donna Rhodes. So, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Donna, happy birthday to you. Hey!
Take it over to Catherine and she'll slice it up for you.
There you go.
My son was born on my 30th birthday, so I'm still 30.
Oh, there you go.
We don't need those 70 candles.
Helen's birthday
Take
was
it right over
yesterday.
there
I
to
told her she
Catherine.
couldn't be
She's got
24
plates
because
and
I was
everything.
26 and it didn't work.
That's what my mother said. She kept saying to my niece, I'm 38. 30. One year, my niece finally figured it out. Graham, you were 38 last year. Oh, that's right, I'm 39.
Well,
So
since
how do
I'm...
we keep the
since-
relationship with the other?
There's no requirement to have just one, and
I know that,
Cindy's
but-
convinced me that there's a significant issue for her for the time being of doing the deposits, which is fine because there's going to be a transition period anyway, and during that transition period, it's perfectly logical the way electronic deposits are now. We can transfer that money on a regular basis from one bank to the other. On a scheduled basis. So
But if those monies accumulated with are going to earn us more monies somewhere else, that's where there should be.
that's correct, and that would be the ultimate goal. But there's going to be a transition period anyway in the process, and I just don't want to have my hands tied to a given, set time period. It's going to depend upon. Because we do so much more electronically now, the vendors that we're dealing with, the federal government, others that we're working with. So
I just think if we decide to make the switch, that we make the switch, and that we don't leave some of our money somewhere else, that it all go together to
thank you
make the
very
best
You're welcome. Nice
profit it can for the town, so that we have a deadline of 3 months.
Well,
4 months.
in the back of my mind, I was thinking the end of the year might be a little tight, depending upon how quickly the agreements get
So that
signed.
everybody knows that if we make the switch, that at this point, that's it, we're completely with the other.
Doing so will put greater stress on me, I can tell you that, as opposed to giving me a little more flexibility and reporting back when we can close those accounts. But, I mean, it'd be for a period of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there are, as I said, in fact, 2 months ago, I got notice that in November, so think about this, in July, we got a notice that in November, we're going to have money deducted for a particular loan that we had done electronically. So if they have that kind of lead time of notification,
Right.
that also means that, we got to make sure that we get to the right levels of government
Thanks,
to get
Donna.
that changed, to another bank. So,
Thank you.
plus also, when we switched from TD Bank to Northway years ago, there was, I believe it was it a highway block grant? No, it was a USDA grant deposit that had been returned to USDA because they still had our TD Bank information and not our Northway information at the time. So, there's a lot of, the devil's in the details, let's just say. So there's a lot
As
of...
long as we're not sitting here 6 months from now, and we're still,
I can assure you that we will be earning more interest and that I will be sure that we have the majority of our funds, with the exception of minimum requirement, moved. So if we have something I know that's coming out that has to come out of that account, then we would have the funds to cover it. Otherwise, we'd be moving things. And at some point, we would make that full transition. So, but this will also assist, the town clerk tax collector, too.
What is
in the
her
hearing
problem?
interim. It's the location of the branch. So if I could just start from the top, there's really only 3 items because I'm short on time. There's just really 3 items that I want to bring to your attention.
Okay.
Okay.
The first is the budget transfer for PD improvements, and I'm recommending that 2 lines be used for that. One is the PD salary line, and the other is the finance TAN expense line,
Yep.
which I've mentioned verbally, but I just wanted to put it in writing so you have these. And once we know...
Did you talk this over with the chief already?
Not in great detail because we just didn't know what kind of split we were looking at, but we have sufficient funds to pay for it all out of the TAN line. I just think some of it should come from one of the PD lines as
Yep.
well. The
Wait a minute, if we have sufficient funds to do that, why are we putting him in constraints where his budget is so tight already? I don't have an...
I mean, it is purely a stylistic thing.
Okay.
So it could all come from the latter account.
You hearing that, Catherine?
Yep.
The next item was just regarding the budget. I'm hoping to receive, and I've been working with some of the department heads and hoping to receive their work products so I can put it in a uniform format for you. And but I thought you may want to have a work session at some point just to focus on the budget in general.
Yes.
And in general, I just need more time on my end. I've held some people up, and but we are working towards completing this. The last item that I really wanted to bring to your attention was number 6, which is making a final recommendation on banking services. Joyce reviewed the banking proposals, and while she used a little different criteria in evaluating them, and she came up with a different ranking. Once we discussed it, she agreed with my recommendation, and so my recommendation is to go with Franklin Savings Bank as our primary banking relationship.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion, we go with Franklin Savings Bank.
I'll
As
second
our
that.
bank.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I'm glad that we're going with Franklin Savings. I've had really good luck with them in the past in my worlds.
What was your main deciding factor?
Yeah.
Main deciding factor was the rate of return, the overall rate of return.
Okay, so I suspected.
It isn't even close. It's many-fold difference.
Right, okay. I see that.
I think that this is probably a tough call on your part, and it would have to come down under something rate of return or numbers, given that Northway Bank has been...
They've been an exceptional partner, and
Right.
their service has been impeccable. No complaints about Northway. It's purely a final analysis based on our needs and on our scope of accounts, size of accounts, cash flow, and rate of return that we would receive over the course of a full year.
Right.
The one thing that we asked of Northway when we switched to them was that they cash our employees' checks, whether our employees have an account with them or not. Some banks, even if the check is drawn on them, won't cash it if you don't have an account there. So you want to make sure that Franklin Savings Bank will do the thing. I'm sure they will.
They did agree to that. That was in their response.
Good.
They did do?
They did.
Okay. Okay, is there any more discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's all I really have. If you'd like to review any of the items on the monthly expenditures, I can do that. I can tell you, to help keep your agenda on time, since I have 2 minutes left, our expenditures are under a year-to-date plan, just barely. Our revenues are also under, but some of those are back-end loaded. In general, my feeling is that it's still a very tight budget, but all department heads are being very conscious of that, spending very wisely, and I think it has a very good look to it, as much as it can, considering we have no wiggle room. So, so that's my high-level impression of where we are. This next month, at the end of the quarter, I'll also have year-to-year comparisons in the report, so you can see those. And anything else, of course, you would like to see.
I do want to get with you some point. One of the questions last night in the Budget Committee was PD, I have it with me, let me just find it.
Nice job on the banking services. That
thank
RFP
you.
was so exact.
Thanks.
It was a very nice job.
Thank you.
That couldn't have taken a minute. That had to have taken days. That was some hard work. So very nice job.
Sorry, no short process either.
No, the SRO, that was excellent. That draft was so excellent that it was so easy to work off that draft.
Great.
To come to the final, it was so easy.
Well,
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
no.
it did. It really made it easy for us.
Well, it's as you know, we've had some technology issues around here of late, and the timing of things has been challenging, so.
In the question came up under the PD,
Oh, yeah.
under office supplies, that they've spent $3,000 of office they only have $183 left in their budget for office supplies, so they've spent 94% of their budget. But when I was asked that question, and I looked down through a couple of the past reports, I didn't think that some of them should be in office supply, so I wanted to get with you to find out what constituted office supplies now.
Generally speaking, I would agree with you. There were some that I questioned as well, but the chief really makes that determination based on the purpose of their purchase, but yeah, I'd be happy to sit down and look at any
So
of those.
then maybe we should be asking the chief that then.
Well, I
Chief.
can always pull up the detail on those downstairs, as you know.
So just the office supplies details and that line item, and look at what's under the line item. If I went back to May, Tony and I looked at May,
Yep.
June, July. There were a few things in there that we didn't really feel that should go under office supplies, so if they went into, I think one I thought was deserving of equipment purchases, so that would lower your line item and it wouldn't be 94% spent.
Right.
So I think you need to probably take a second look at that and figure out if maybe we could print that out for you, look at it and say, this shouldn't be under this line.
I can work with you on that, Bob.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So that was a big item
Yeah,
that they spoke about last night.
right.
Not big, but,
Okay.
All right.
Great.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
And our server's up,
Realizing
you're
with all
fine.
of this, you've worked on the agreement with the marina.
That's a lot easier. Trust me.
And the server, and we have a printer copier up here.
Right.
Oh,
The
is that
desk?
now an empty box?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's an empty
see it
box.
over there?
Oh, is that going to go over on this table?
It can be moved anywhere, it's wireless.
It's wireless, so
It can be moved over.
if you want it over there, but you want it over here?
No, I just don't know who uses that desk. I don't
They're
care.
pretty, well,
It just so happened that's where I set it up, so it probably would belong somewhere.
it's not too many people use it.
So just pick it up, plug it in over there? Okay.
We just need a table. Set it up.
I was going to say, we don't use all those tables, desks anyway.
Right. Okay, we have Dawn Schimberg from the Youth Assistance Program. So Dawn, you're up. If you wouldn't mind talking into the mic.
Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm doing all right.
I received the information from the meeting you had 2 weeks ago regarding the young people who got into trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to speak with you a little further on that, if that was okay.
Okay, sure.
All right. I think one of the things that maybe I wasn't clear about is that these were juveniles, and they'd already come through a juvenile review board. So they had met with a board of volunteers who went over the case, talked to the young people individually with their parent, and I had already done home visits and done an intake. So the boys had contracts. In those contracts were community service work.
Should we be doing this in non-public?
I'm not going to be naming names.
No, there's no names,
okay,
right.
But that's
Right.
really up to you.
Okay,
folks. So
there
the
was
boys had contracts.
Okay, and there's community service in the contracts?
Community service in the contract
Okay.
that has been fulfilled.
Okay.
Okay. There was, one of the boys did have an anger management class, which he had to take, because there was some concern on the part of the parents that this was, some of an
Okay.
issue he was dealing with. I'm sorry, I can get closer.
No, that's all right, I just couldn't hear you, I don't hear so well.
Okay. Another example of a contract item might be, like, one of the young people had to look into 3 different activities that he might be interested in and pick one and pursue it. And so, there's a wide range of contract items. Now, as you know, the one boy came to you folks here to find out the cost of the light bulbs that were broken.
Right.
The Christmas lights. And that was part of what he needed to do, and then he needed to make restitution for that.
Okay.
And I apologize, because I don't know if I made that clear
Okay.
enough.
We thought, right, it wasn't clear to us.
I'm
We thought
sorry.
we needed to figure out the restitution and what to do.
Right, and in the past, we've worked with adult cases, young adults they were, but I know, and those were different, they had been court-ordered to do service.
Correct.
And so that was different, but these kids have already
Okay.
done,
Yep.
the majority. Okay.
Well, I thank you for bringing that to our attention, for sure.
How many hours of community service did they do?
They did 15 hours apiece, along with other contract items. And they did picking up along Main Street on the sidewalk. Each of them did time with that. They did weeding. They worked at the car wash fundraiser that we did. So they did a variety of different things.
Your personal take, did they learn a lesson?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is my personal take. Will they continue to have trouble? They may. They may. I think
Yeah.
it's a process.
Yeah.
But I've already gone into the school to give extra support to the one young person, because he's having some peer issues,
Oh, yeah, I was a kid, no, really.
Well, so I think that we need to change our motion in the direction in which we chose. We chose $20 and then 20 hours each of community service, so we should probably change that motion and did they have to pay anything, so they've had to do community service, they've had to do several different contract items attend classes and so on and so forth, right?
Regularly with me.
So it's just really the restitution of the bulbs itself?
Yes.
Okay.
So we just make a motion to eliminate the community service portion.
and then have them just pay $20 for the,
bulbs.
And they could just make the restitution.
is that acceptable?
Yes,
Okay, so,
that sounds fine.
So I'll make a motion that we eliminate the community service portion of our motion that pertains to the destruction of the
Juveniles.
light bulbs on the Christmas tree. And
Second?
that we just invoke the reimbursement. Is it $20?
$20. So the motion is to eliminate the community service portion of the juveniles that were sent restitution and community service. So we're eliminating the community service portion of it because they've already completed that with the youth assistance program. So we're changing the motion to only the $20 restitution.
Is that a piece or together? Was the total? Because I
It
know
was-
one young man
Thought it was a
already paid
piece.
10.
One paid 10. We had initially said it was a piece, because we have to buy there's 2 strands, and we have to buy the strands.
And replace them,
Right,
so.
that's the way we figured it. There were 2 strands, and what we paid for them is what we charged.
Okay, very good. So I will
Um,
follow that up.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of changing the original motion to eliminate the hours of community service?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Okay.
Not this time.
Okay. So we're all set. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
It's
Liz.
really nice to, well, it is.
And next time, I'll try to get more information to you first, instead of, I think I just kind of, we came over here so the boy
Right.
could ask the question,
Uh-huh.
and it was something that you didn't even know.
Well, I think we just got a letter.
Yeah, we didn't.
That's how, we never
Right,
talked
right.
with them.
He
We just
sent a
got a
letter.
letter.
We were sent a letter.
That's right, because we came over here and we met with Catherine, and that kind of, then he was told that he should write a letter, which was part of what he needed to do anyway, was to
Right,
write a
okay.
letter. Okay, so then he wrote a letter asking that question. Okay, but I think it's all set now, and we'll make sure that.
Well, we would love, going forward, we would love working with you, so I would be more than willing to, just let us know
Okay.
how we can help.
Oh, super. And
Would love to.
likewise, I did send you an update just recently, so if you have any questions on the youth assistance program
Got it.
ever, just
Yeah.
give a shout.
Thank you, and congratulations on temporary director, or
Thank you. Thank you.
if, again, if we can help in any way, we're more than willing to.
There is a little gathering for Martha, and I know Joyce has already asked me for a little information. And I
Okay.
think that would be very, very nice.
Great,
That would be nice.
great.
Have you scheduled the next meeting, board meeting
It is going to be the 27th.
of September?
Yes.
Glad I asked you.
I'm glad you asked, too. It's at 3:45. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Don. Okay, Joyce. I know.
This is not a pay increase. This is not a pay increase, it's other.
Dennis wanted me to be sure that
Then no,
he got his budget in by the 15th.
I would think.
That's Dennis's budget. I'll hold on to
It's not a pay increase, it's another.
I'll just put it in here.
I agree. I didn't look at that. I agree. It's other. Joyce, this is not, this is other. Yep.
When we talked with Tim, we were going to do it as a separate check.
This is other.
Okay, I didn't see what was checked off. What was checked off?
Checked on pay raise.
Oh, we have to
Did Dennis fill it out?
Yeah.
That's him. Nice try. Wow.
All right, this is
Very
Tim's.
nice.
Oh, I see. This is
Yep, I like it.
All right, you want me to just start running through these things real quick? The printer is hooked up here, and Tim gave me the instructions to access it on the network, and I haven't had a chance to do that, but I will. So we'll be up and running.
Does he have it hooked up to these computers?
That I don't know. I just asked him, would I be able to go in to add printer and see that printer to add it? And he said he had to do something. And so he did what he had to do, so now I can access it.
Okay, so will you make sure that these two are on it? I understand it's faster if you need.
Now, do you want me to move that over on this table or on that table? Probably on this table would be better.
I would say this table here.
Yeah.
That way, if we need to, if we're talking with somebody,
You don't have to walk and
just
see.
right here to make a copy.
Sorry, Norm.
Very user-friendly. Extremely user-friendly.
I've been 2 weeks trying to figure out how to work a stereo thing in the car.
I figured out how to, it's got plus or minus to increase the copies. You just go plus or minus. Just want to let you know that the 131 Beach Street, I'm sorry, 131 Winter Street has met their obligation for this week.
Okay, great. It's good to hear.
Clear already?
Cash.
Cash.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Good for them. True.
Did you want to talk about this one in non-public? That I spoke with the individual that we sent the letter and the lease agreement?
No, it can be in public.
Okay.
Excuse me, one more thing about that last issue. If it should come up that they're not in compliance at any given time, I'm sure you'll let us know. Right?
Oh, yeah. Last Monday morning, I emailed a use agreement to an individual who was the prior tenant of the prior property owner on 29 Beach Street, and I hadn't heard back from him. His deadline to respond was tomorrow, so I called him, and he won't be responding. He said that he doesn't want to sign anything.
He doesn't want to continue the agreement.
Okay.
Therefore, he's moving.
He's out. When will he be out by?
Probably this weekend.
Okay, good.
So, but I told him I'd get back in touch with him after I spoke to the board, so he's to move everything this
So if he's out
weekend.
by Saturday, Sunday, we could,
Sunday's a party.
I was going to say we can go over and actually view the
we
property.
gotta inspect it,
Inspect it.
I want to see what it is.
make sure everything's
I
in
drove
order.
out in the front part, but it's hard to really get a feel for it.
Well, maybe supper time Sunday night, we should go over
Meet
and
at 5?
meet at 5 and
Bring towels.
Well, could I make a suggestion? I should call and have the locks changed?
Yes, I would say that's a
Oh,
good
absolutely.
idea.
Locks
Absolutely.
changed?
Absolutely.
I would think that the lock should be changed.
Yes.
If they're actually leaving, then this weekend, Monday morning, I would have the lock changed.
Should we put a sign at the driveway?
no trespassing.
No trespassing, property owned by the town of Tilton? Just get
And,
something printed on cardboard?
yes, we should notify the former property owner to contact the town to make arrangements to go in and remove his personal belongings.
Do we need to notify the utilities?
We should.
Are we going to turn off any of those utilities?
I wouldn't.
I
wouldn't right now.
I would. There's a hot tub out there.
But it's
Shut
going to
it
be turned
off.
off.
Shut it off and drain it,
off.
but you've got,
Oh, never
Absolutely.
mind. So we should keep the
No,
utilities.
no, no. Oh, no, I would not go in anybody else's hot tub, so excuse me, but I think we should because other people can use it. It's outside. Anybody could go next door and, I'm going to
right,
go to the
but we
hot
can
tub.
empty the hot tub.
Yeah, I would I would
And we
definitely
physically
empty the
shut it
hot
off.
tub. Winter's coming.
But I,
They're not
Yeah, we'll
going
make
to.
sure
I would
that the
definitely do that on
property
Monday
is
when-
winterized, but for right now, immediately, I think we need to take physical possession of the
I mean, you do,
interior.
does it have a, we don't know anything about the property, does it have burglar alarm, does it have, God, I hope they don't.
How are we going to go in to inspect if we don't have a key?
Well, Monday, if we change the locks, we'll have a key.
Okay.
Is he gonna, the person that's using it right now, is he going to drop the keys off, or did he say?
I can ask him.
I
He said he
also
could, he
inform
said
them
it would,
We're going to change the lock.
yeah.
Well, we are, but I
Yeah.
mean, at least it would get us into the door, and then we can have the locksmith change everything.
Now, my question is there personal property left in the home?
Oh, yeah,
And that doesn't belong to the town, does it?
correct.
No.
That's why we have to notify the former property owner and give him notice to come and remove his personal property by a certain date.
Chief, no one gets in that house unless they have permission from the town of Tilton, Beach Street, 29 Beach Street. It'd be just likely a phone call comes on a weekend and one of your officers are there, I got to get in, this is my personal property. Let us go through the legal process that we need to go in through and take it from there. Nobody, it'll be just like one of our officers, which I can think of right now, that would say, okay, sure.
Trying to be helpful, but
Try to be helpful,
helpful.
exactly. Try to be helpful. And I didn't mean anything by that, but other than trying to be helpful, and they do damage or whatever. I
need a
think
note for extra checks.
once, yes, we're going to put a no trespassing sign there, and change the locks Monday morning. Shut the utilities off.
Who does our lock work?
John Carlson?
Don Carlson.
Yep. Commonly referred to as Mr. Locke.
So if we do that, Sunday evening about dinner time, we should all go over and inspect it and see if it's what it's like.
Yeah, by then,
We may
I'll be
want
feeling perky again.
We may want to keep it for a beach, you never know.
Can I go and bring my bathing suit so I can go in the hot tub?
Well, I told her we
Yeah.
should bring towels.
You really want to go in someone
It
else's hot
actually has
tub?
a parking area and everything, doesn't it?
2
That
acres.
house, I think, is problematic, though. The fact that it has a house on it, what would we do with the house?
Rent it.
Rent it.
No, not for, have a town beach out back.
Turn it into a beach house.
I'd like to see it.
Two of the
We can have a
abutters,
huge concession stand right there, and we could look at the income we have. We can,
and
and we can
for-
donate all the proceeds to our local charities that
Toilets and
needs it.
whatever would be inside
Park
the house.
Commission, chat committee, budget committee.
two of the abutters have called wanting to know how they could purchase it.
I want the tax.
Who was called?
There's
Two
three peop-
abutters.
Two abutters, and then there's a third person that is
Tell them not to
interested.
hold their breath.
Well, and this one might also, right?
Right, that one wants to.
So that's 3 people.
There's 3 people that want to buy it.
Who's the
My
third?
goodness.
The one that's living there the summer.
Oh, he wants to buy it, too?
Tell them we'll sell the house, but we're retaining the beach for a public beach.
I haven't said
Couple
anything.
of weekends.
But for right now, the plan is to just secure the building and make sure that it's
Secure the building.
weather-tight and
Yes.
winterized. Okay,
Right,
No windows have been left open, things like that.
right.
correct.
And the police are going to patrol it. Okay, in your packets, we got 4 letters of interest, so that at the end of your meeting, if you can go through them, and they all expressed that if the board wanted to interview them, they would be more than happy to come in. And I was going to ask if I
think it
could...
would be nice to interview them. You get a real feel for people when you're actually an attorney, especially, and you sit there and talk to them. I just think you get a real feel.
Why don't we set up a date to interview them?
You want to do all four?
I have read the packets, and I have spoken to one of them on an individual basis, but I think Catherine's right. Unless you interview them directly, you're really not going to get a sense of what it's like, what they're like. We have to have this done by October
4th.
4th.
So we should be able to make a vote on the 29th.
Well, if we make it on the 29th, then they only have 1 week to get the appearance written.
Right, but that's just filling out a form.
Yeah,
That's all they have to do is fill out
That's
the
just a
form.
form? Okay,
you can get them online.
okay.
Yeah.
So if we can have them here the 22nd or the 29th, which one would you prefer?
They have to have time. When do we have to have our,
I'd have them here, I try to get them here on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And then you might have one or two that can't, and then carry them over to the next week, but I'd shoot for the 22nd.
because when do we have to have the court thing taken care of?
October 4th.
October 4th.
And if they can all get here on the 22nd, great.
I would set it for 4:30 on the 22nd, right away, and then that way we can, what was the date of the CASA?
CASA is the 22nd.
What, okay, hold on a minute.
What if we do it early?
What if we do it on,
Set up a meeting just with the attorneys so that we can get that ball rolling.
why don't we do it on Wednesday? Is the budget committee starting to meet every night
No,
yet?
October
All right.
12th,
Then why don't we set it up on the 21st?
in the evening.
We have something in the morning.
I have something in the afternoon on the 21st, that's at that hospital at Franklin for the elderly community.
Yeah,
It's till 3, I think.
there's something else. My first municipal law lecture.
Yeah, I'm available.
But I mean, that would be in the evening. so-
What about the 22nd in the afternoon?
Just before the selectmen meeting?
Yeah,
Well, we're thinking of not having the selectmen's meeting on the 22nd, so we can attend the CASA, what is it?
I would definitely like to talk to the people. I have some questions regarding that. And the child
So
advocate.
could we do it at 1 again?
Appointed
I'm okay with that.
difference. And
okay, on the 22nd, 1 PM.
So we'll do the selectmen's meeting at 1 to interview the attorneys on the 22nd. We'll ask them to come in 1:15, 1:30,
Okay, so we're back to Thursday. Okay,
Thursday, the 22nd.
okay.
There's 3 of them,
Yep.
correct?
4.
4, so 1, and then 1:15, and then 1:30, and then 1:45.
Yeah, 1 PM.
Oh, 15 minutes is
Yeah.
going to cut it.
No, just to even get up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
And,
You're gonna
you
have
know,
to- yeah,
hi,
you're
how
gonna
are
have to do
you?
Half an hour.
I'd say
Alright.
half an hour.
So then
And 10 minutes in between.
1, 1:30, 2, 2:30,
Yep.
3. What time is the CASA fair? I don't have my card.
I put my card somewhere else. I don't remember if it's possible. Does anybody have the...
right here in
You have
front of
it?
me. It's at Patrick's on the 22nd from 5 to 7. The remarks will be at 6.
So we'd have to be out of here at 4.
4. So that would give us, so we would be here only for that and signing of payroll, and
Nothing else.
so there's no appointments, Catherine, on the 22nd, okay? We'll have to move them to the 29th? Okay. Okay, we're good with that. So that's, see if we can get them to come in.
We'll need a non-public session. I got some more correspondence from Attorney Puffer to discuss 3 Puffer cases and 1 Attorney Bauer. Okay, Sandy and I are going to do the punch list walkthrough of the town hall improvements next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Hopefully before then, he said the electrician would be in at 7:30, Catherine, in the morning, either Monday or Tuesday, too. There's the electrical fixtures need to be replaced, and we talked about that one. And Joe, you're going to bring up single stream under your selectmen's reports? Okay. Just want to make sure.
I am out of here, I'm afraid.
Want to do it right now? Want to say, Catherine?
I got 3 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that Tilton, vote favor, how do I want to put this? That the town of Tilton
That's what he's talking about.
use their vote at the Concord Regional Solid Waste Resource Recovery meeting this evening to vote in the affirmative for the single stream recycling facility in Pennacook to go forward.
Okay, we're going to vote for this to go forward without any type of real commitment for the financial plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
What this...
Go forward to build it, go forward to,
Going
is our
forward
final
part is
commitment?
to begin the process. Design, conceptualizing, permitting,
To build it.
have it's just the beginning of the process.
Well, we're telling them to build it. That's
We're
it,
telling
build
them
it.
to begin the process.
To build it.
Go forward. How is they don't have an exact plan for the financing, that's a separate meeting.
No, they understand from, I'm sure, other towns would be just like us, that this would have to be something that the final approval would come
That's
at our
correct.
town
That's
meeting.
correct.
The other side of this, it's just like the sewer and the interceptor. Is Laconia on board with this?
Yes.
Concord?
Yes.
How many votes does Concord have? Well, wait a minute, how many votes does Tilton have?
Tilton has about 20% of the votes Concord has. I think Concord has 57, and we have in the area of 10.
So no matter, if we join in, what's going to happen is Concord controls everything.
Well, you have Concord and
They do
Laconia
now.
together?
They always have.
Yeah.
They always have.
Can I keep this? So,
And the
that's
facility
my
is
only
located
concern.
in an area that's taxed by Concord.
We're not going to have,
We're not going to have
We're
any
not-
specific say in this, no. What this would do is commit us for the future to support the recycling center. We're contractually obligated till 2014 to bring our recyclables. If that thing is built, we're contractually obligated through 2014.
But now, if that's the case, how can we do that until we've asked the voters of the town?
Same way it's with our garbage being sent to the incinerator. We have a contract with the co-op. How that got approved, I really don't know whether that
the
was...
selectmen approve it. Do you have a copy of the agreement that we agreed to when they were here so many moons ago?
You're talking about the actual co-op agreement? Yes, we have that downstairs.
The one that, remember they did the presentation for the single stream?
Right. But that wasn't a contract, that was just, we had to send a letter saying that the town, if this were built, that we would send it was like a letter of intent. We gave them a
Right.
letter of
So we
intent,
don't
no
have any
signed
true-
contract, no.
Right now, we don't have any true commitment to the single stream.
No, that's
So
what,
if we
that's
take a
what this
vote right
vote.
now,
Nothing more than, we are, apparently our recyclables are committed once that single-stream facility is built.
How can they be committed?
2014.
we're not committed. Our
That's my understanding.
How can we be committed?
Every co-op member is committed through 2014 under the current agreement. if
Are
the
we?
place is built.
I wasn't aware of that.
That's
Is
my
that in our
understanding.
co-op agreement?
I wasn't aware of that either. I was aware that if we went forward, it would be our intent to join the single-stream facility when it was ready to be put up and online.
No, what we said is if you put it up online, we would send our single stream there.
We gave them, they came here, they
That-
gave
A
us
letter of intent.
They gave us
If
that
they put it up,
whole
we
But we're
would
not
send it.
committed.
They gave us that whole presentation, we
Right.
asked our questions.
But-
I voiced the same concerns with them. In the agreement, it states that, if whatever the financing goes south, we're on the hook for it. I voiced my concerns about the poor little town of Tilton's saying anything. It's just not there. I mean, what's going to happen with this vote with this facility is what works for Laconia and Concord is what's going to go, and we're on the coattails. That's my problem.
That's not a problem for me on any level. The whole regionalization thing here, I think, is a very good thing for Tilton. Does
Look what's
Concord
happening
and
with
Laconia have
look
both
what's
I know.
happening to the sewer
Yes.
interceptor.
I know, but if you look at it, a lot of the
What's happening to
the
sewer
smaller
interceptors? Those
communities,
fees that- it's the
their
same thing.
votes can outweigh
separate issues.
That's right.
Concord and Laconia.
Well,
Who?
and who's
All
going
the
to
Warners, the Hopkintons, and all
who's
those
gonna
people that have been
organize
really,
You have to organize them to
oh,
do that.
no, that's what they do at their joint meetings.
That's what
It's
we
not
do at the
working out with the
meeting.
sewer interceptor.
Well, this is the co-op. This has been since, what, 1988, 87? And the whole reason they decided to go single stream is because the agreement with Wheelabrator with the incinerator is lapsing. And the co-op spent thousands of dollars to get a landfill designed in Canterbury, and the town of Canterbury shot it down.
Sorry, you gotta go,
My vote is
Catherine.
not no against the single stream. I'm just concerned that we don't have any, real tangible.
There isn't yet,
plans
Catherine.
to discuss
Nobody
and
has
vote
any
on.
yet.
Why are they, now, Joe, why are they looking for a vote from us to go forward with this in a yes when we don't have anything tangible to go by?
We're not voting for construction, we're voting for permitting, we're voting for those kind of things to move forward.
Go forward with the
I
design.
sent information to everybody at the Board of Selectmen.
They own the land
Email.
already.
We already have started to go forward. We own the land. We have a basic design that has to be gone over by DES. The reason that all of a sudden it's going forward at 23,871 tons as opposed to 25,000 is because Pinard Waste Systems was in the process of going forward with a facility of their own down on the seacoast. This town ain't big enough for both of us, partner. There's no room for two single-stream facilities within that close of proximity. However, that aces out the co-op, if only because the seacoast facility is almost into Portland. So that doesn't do us any significant good on the transportation end, as well as Concord and Laconia and Franklin. All the big municipalities, of course, are for it. And because they want something close. Transportation cost kills them, as it does for everybody. They seem to think that if we have one in Pennacook, and they've already got the interest, according to Jim Pressure, from a lot of outside sources. We don't want to go to Hartford. As long as the numbers are there, we want to go to Pennacook because it's much closer and it's a much less of a
I
transportation.
agree. I mean, I'm with you. I'm totally for single stream, but I do see where Catherine is coming from
As do I.
with the legalities of all of this and how we're going to present ourselves and how Tilton is going to come out in a favorable position. And I'm very concerned about that.
I don't know as we are in the short term. I really don't. There's always associated costs with this kind of an endeavor. How are we going to get the stuff to Concord, or to Pennacook? That's a completely separate issue, but has to be considered. What is our financial cost going to be to start with? Or what's it going to cost us? It doesn't necessarily cost us anything in the very shortest of terms, but our tipping fees, the prices they'll pay for recyclable materials at the site are impacted by these things. They anticipate, now this is just a ballpark figure,
So
but a savings of $20 a ton
I understand
to
the
us
save.
for that trash.
I understand, and I really look forward to the savings. But if we vote tonight, we're giving you permission to vote yes to go ahead with single stream, which means that will incur a cost to the town of Tilton.
Yes. Yes, I believe it will.
How will it, when the way it was presented is that they're using
In the very
the money
shortest
that
of-
they
in the
had set
very-
aside for the landfill that they've already set aside for the
We have
landfill?
9 million, the co-op has $9 million, or actually, they have closer to $15 million in their capital reserve fund. And they propose to spend approximately $9 million in cash on a $12 million thing. So they're between that and the permitting and the various things, they said $14 million. So now you're talking about financing 5. I'm guessing 6 because these things have a tendency to roll up. That means it'll have to be paid from money that we would receive otherwise for recyclables. Somebody has to pay for it. So who will pay for it? We will. Concord will, Laconia will, Franklin will, and we'll pay our share according to the amount of tonnage that we bring
down.
It's not like we're, as a town of Tilton, committed to start pouring money into this. Never have I heard anybody say
Right, but-
anything about, hey, we need a check for $100,000.
Yeah,
It's not
no.
like that.
No. And also, they had, when they made the presentation, that we would get income back, we would be getting revenue.
Ultimately, that's down the road, and that's a pipe dream. If we broke even, if we just paid $20 less a ton to get rid of this stuff, we're saving $20 on 4,000 tons of garbage, and the 2,000 tons if we could get to 50% recycling. It's going to cost us more to transport it because the trucks can't compact.
Then where are we saving if it's going to cost more to transport it?
It's only going 13, 14 miles, as opposed to Portland or Lawrence or Hartford, where the places are now.
So we're going a shorter distance, but do we have to have special vehicles in which to transport it?
It's a separate issue.
Well, no, it's really not a
No,
separate
it is
issue.
a totally separate issue.
If my vote is yes, I'm going to also see the whole picture here, Joe.
Okay, no, and I
the whole
understand
picture.
that. My suggestion is that we go to every one of the haulers that haul in the town of Tilton, and we say to them, this is our goal. We want to get our recyclables to the facility in Pennacook once it's built. What is the most cost-effective way to do that? And let them bid against each other. Last year, and I'll take the blame for this one as a member of the Recycle Committee, I got blindsided. We came up with a plan, sounded good to us, and we thought we'd thought of everything. Nope. We put the waste company into a very narrow slot that would have cost far in excess of anything we could have saved because of the transportation cost associated with the way we had decided to do it. I figured that we've got 7 or 8 haulers in the town of Tilton. We let them come up and fight amongst, not fight, compete amongst themselves for our business. Because everybody wants more business. What's the most cost-effective way to do this? Is it 2 trucks, a split-body truck, a truck every other week? What is it? What's the best way to do this? That way, we'll have 7 or 8 different companies competing. We bring that to the town at the town meeting. I would be glad and stand to talk about that because, you know, if this costs the town of Tilton money in the short term, I still think it's the right thing to do. It's forward-thinking, and I'm sure it's going to cost me money. I'm a taxpayer, but I'm sure it's the right thing for the environment. I'm sure it's the right thing for our children and grandchildren and their children. And I don't want somebody saying, why didn't they do something when they had the chance?
When do we need this vote?
By tonight at 6:30. We've had years to consider this ultimately.
Well, also, I think, unless I'm sadly mistaken, but I don't think I am, if we go something like this with the recycling, then our tipping fees, the tonnage will drop way down on the regular garbage that is picked up now.
Correct.
And that, we won't be paying nearly as much for that, so that money can be used for the transportation of the stuff to get it
I
down to.
didn't think so, but it doesn't work like that. Golly, I've got it right here.
No, I don't mean that we'd take that money, but what I'm getting at is in our budget, we would be budgeting less for normal trash, no?
Not even hardly.
Even though
I
the-
sent it to you. I sent it to each of you, and I don't have it right here in front of me.
And I just gave my copy to Catherine.
There's a colored graph.
Yeah.
And it says that they propose that the tipping fees remain at $66.80, which is what they are currently,
Yeah.
through the year 2018.
Right.
But then in the column right above that, it's what the actual tipping fees are. And what they, as the tonnages go down, the fixed costs stay the same, so the tipping fees go up. No savings whatsoever.
But we'd have less tonnage. So ultimately,
We
it
will
would
have
cost
less
us,
tonnage.
it would
We'll-
cost us less because the tipping fees are based on the tonnage.
Yeah, okay,
It
well, I
costs
see
you
what you're
so-
saying. Yeah,
You're talking about the contract with Wheelabrator.
that's correct.
Right.
Yeah,
In the year 2018, the tipping fee will be over $103.
I know. And if
In
we are
reality.
recycling,
But that's why they want to save some of that cash in the capital reserve, because they want to use that to subsidize the
Right.
tipping fees, to keep them at $66.80.
yeah, because I mean, this is the way
Yeah, I guess you're right, I hadn't thought of it that way.
the
but yeah,
tonnage, yes, if you're reducing your tonnage, then your bill's gonna go down
That's correct.
because your
You may or
tipping
may
fee,
not receive money for our recyclables.
you may not,
And we may
but,
not. But if we can break even, if we can
Right.
come close to breaking even, we're doing better than we're doing now.
There's only two things I'd like to say, not only because I've been involved with the co-op since 1988, is
They've
number
saved
one,
us several
they're a
$100,000.
proven organization, that we have been paying under-market tipping fees for, what, 25 years?
Yes.
That's proven, that's fact. Secondly,
They're professionals.
right, secondly, the municipalities, by law, we have to provide a place for people to dispose of their refuse.
Right.
The only other alternative, when this incinerator is done, is a landfill, because they're not going to permit any more incinerators, or that's why they thought we can extend the incinerator life and do recycling. The other advantage to going together as a co-op for recycling is that when you're marketing your products, you're losing those spikes. So towns like to have a set amount that they know they're going to look out and budget, maybe a little increase here, a little increase there. That's the advantage. Plus, you have a vote, you have a say, you have control.
You don't,
have
though.
Yes, yes, you do have a vote.
You do have a vote, but you really don't have a say because we have somebody else with 57% of the vote.
I know, but we're all in it together.
When
We're
we
all in
stand
it
up
But it
together.
doesn't, you still,
The way it's set up,
the
there's like-
way it's, I understand the way it's set up, but if they want it done in a certain way that is in the best interest of Concord, in the best interest of Laconia, that's the way that they're going to set it up, and that's the way they want to set it up. That's the way, if we had 57% of the vote, that's the way we would want it set up. That's human nature. It's not, I'm not saying it in a negative way. That's human nature.
I know, but you have to make it an
But there's nothing
economically
definitive.
feasible.
There's nothing on paper, there's nothing definitive about if we say, go ahead, that we're now all of a sudden committed to this project. I just,
well, I guess my only question is how can we commit ourselves to it if we haven't even taken it to the townspeople for a vote?
On this one, I don't believe you have to. Did you do I know that the only thing we took to the townspeople was the actual ordinance that required people to use licensed
We're
haulers.
committing thousands of dollars worth of, I believe in single stream. I'm 100% behind that. But we don't really know how much it's going to cost Tilton. It's an unknown. We have no idea. Why would we as selectmen commit to that if we don't know? I'd love to find out more information. I can't say go and vote yes because we don't know. I would really love to have more information on what direction we're taking Tilton in. I mean, this is what our jobs are.
I don't understand this. I really don't understand this. I understand your concerns, certainly, but it's going to take years to find out how much it's going to cost. And what kind of information can we no matter what anybody tells us, the actual, how's it going to play out will require years of data. How much is it going to cost us? Nobody has a clue. Everybody likes to say, we're going to save money. I heard the Concord guy say that ultimately it would save Concord taxpayers money. Laconia, frankly. They're convinced. Am I convinced? I don't know. Like I say,
I'd be happy to break even, but I just don't want it to cost us money.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, then I'm not ready to commit to something that's going to cost us money when we have too many unknowns.
How much is it going to cost us to continue to do it the same way we do it now? If I can, I think that...
I think we know how much it's going to cost us if we do it, what we do right now. We have a plan, we have a contract, that it's this much, and they're going to do this, they're going to pick it up this way, they're going to dispose of it this way. We have a plan, we have an agreement, and it's all out there in front of us. We don't have that right now. And yet you want me to commit to say, okay, go ahead, whatever, Tilton's in, and I can't...
Have they projected a tipping fee for 2012?
$66.80.
So it's up.
Same as it is right now.
Yeah, it's the same as... So I would have to say, if you needed a vote for tonight by 6:30, I would have to say my vote would be no.
So we have a motion on the floor, correct?
Correct. We do. And if you want to officially vote on it tonight with 3 selectmen, then I can bring the votes here and...
The vote is this evening. So we're kind of handcuffed by that. Either we do absolutely nothing, or we vote it up or down.
I just wish we had more time on this. I feel we're doing Tilton I feel we're doing a disservice to us, and I feel we're doing a disservice to Tilton by not having all of the information in front of us to make this vote.
I have a question. What happens if we don't vote tonight, or we vote no, because we want more information? Is this something we can do later?
We just vote no. We don't have to give them any explanation whatsoever.
No.
We are obligated, to the best of my knowledge, to send our recyclables at such time as that facility is built, if indeed it is built.
But this is...
They don't need our vote to go forward.
Okay, well, I understand that, and I appreciate that, but by voting no, it would allow us more time to talk about this, get all of our ducks in a row as far as, not that we're not committed to it. You know, I mean, I think it's wonderful that they finally decided to go forward. But there does seem to be huge gapes in the information.
Right.
That, will help us.
Could we say,
I'm certain that it's my fault only because I don't have the answers. It's not necessarily like none of these answers exist.
Well, Joe, if we said no tonight, is this a done deal, or can we, 3 weeks from now, if we invited them up and gave us a presentation to us and said, answer our questions, Tilton's has some concerns, and then we vote, take another vote and say, you know what, this really is in the best interest of Tilton, we would like to go that way, would we be able to do that?
To the best of my knowledge, we can. to the best of my knowledge.
Then I think that would be,
This
And
is-
they
if
have
we
enough-
vote no
they have enough
tonight,
tonnage?
That does not put us out of the co-op.
okay, that was
And-
my question.
And we're just voting no with our block. That's all. We have 5, 7 votes, whatever, and I don't think that those 7 votes voting no, because we'll be probably the only ones who do.
I would love,
That's what I
Well,
saw.
my question would be, because I remember that one meeting that I went to, that they were setting up different levels of membership, so that people that weren't regular co-op members would come in, but they would pay either a different amount
We're a regular co-op
or...
member, whether we vote yes or no.
We're
We're still
still
a
a co-op.
regular co-op.
Oh, no, I know that, but I mean, as far as the single stream, that if we somehow lose out on the financing deal if we're not in at the ground level.
It won't make any difference to us. It really won't. We're members of the co-op, full members in good standing. If we vote no, I don't think it'll stop the project from going forward. I'd be very surprised. We're still members of the co-op, so we would still get the co-op price and everything else. And-
Okay.
And I understand your
can you
hesitance
try to
because
set
there are
that,
questions.
can you try to set that up with the people that you need to try to come and give a
I'll speak to Jim
presentation?
Fresher. You want me to tell Dennis to vote no? Well, let's take
a vote.
move forward with our vote.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. So the motion failed.
Okay, then let me call Dennis and tell him.
Okay.
And would you please tell Dennis that that's what we'd like to do? It's not that we're against it?
I'll talk with Jim Fresher.
Okay.
What's tomorrow? Friday. I'll talk with him tomorrow, tell him why we voted the way we voted,
Yeah.
and can we get
Him in,
him to come up so that the Board of
Answer.
Selectmen, because I can't communicate it, I'm all in favor. but
I would love him to come in either the first or the second week in October.
Yeah.
One of those, get him in as soon as we can so that we can make a decision as soon as we can. I mean, I'm committed to single stream facility. I really am. I want this on board and I want the town to save some money. So I think that, having the first, 13th is out because we're not having a meeting there, but the 6th or the 20th, if we can get them in October, or the 29th of September, I would be more than willing to put them on the agenda, and then we can
I
answer.
actually think that'd be better because, like I say, nobody could answer all my questions, but there's some of the questions you have that I know that there are answers to, but I can't answer.
Okay.
So Jim Fresher would be the guy.
And then we can jump on board. I know they're having the meeting tonight, and unfortunately, I feel kind of bad about that, but
There's no need to feel bad. It is what it is, and you vote no.
No,
right.
we do want it, and that way we can have the whole board here to hear the presentation and make
I
it.
think that's a good idea as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because Catherine was, if we'd have passed this evening, Catherine would have been disappointed, I'm sure. Be that.
well, that's not why we voted no.
No, I
We have
understand.
our own concerns.
I know, I
Okay.
understand that as well. I
All right.
understand that as well. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Okay, we have, all right.
Okay, I called Ingrid Marsh again, wanting our report on 61 Business Park Drive, so she's putting pressure on the adjuster to hurry up and get information. It was Wednesday. And I told you about the PD improvements. Did Matt go down to the PD today, do you know, with his fabricator to measure for the cage so we could get the contract?
Should have been this morning.
With the exception of when I met with you guys, I was there all day and he didn't.
Okay.
Unless he came after I came here,
Well, he would have gone during the time you met with us,
then that's,
because it was around 10 he was going.
I can check with Ryan.
Okay. And I did get in touch with Mr. Hoey, and he said that he'll get a contract together as soon as he gets the dates. He said he was going to call Tom Gallant to find out what his schedule was, and then he would work.
I think he can go forward. I was telling Joyce yesterday, I think Mr. Hoey can go forward with the drainage. I think he can go forward with the repairing. You can allow him to go into the evidence room, can you? Escorted, correct? To repair the crack?
They're alone.
Right, I understand that. But he could do the drainage work, he could put the humidification in the coffee room, that area, and then duct it into the shower area. He cannot do it, the only piece I believe that he cannot do, Joyce, is putting the dehumidification into the new evidence room. And we have to wait for Tom to build that. All of the other work, I believe, he can do. Did you water the toilet?
I told Ryan to.
Okay.
I checked my email before the meeting, and I still have no communication from Holden or Hiltz. But from what I understand, it's tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
7:30.
7:30, right. I'll be there.
Okay, and Dawn,
I'm not a morning person. You have to trust me. This is very important to me.
I couldn't hear Dawn when she was talking, but did she make the board aware of that?
She just said that you had information.
And then I had asked her to get me some additional information so the board could do a certificate. That I have to do. This I have done.
Do we want to do a gift? Martha?
I have a headache. I'll get right through it.
Sure. Get her something from the board.
Is it costly to get a plaque made for Martha and thanking her for the community service in the
30.
town of Tilton?
30, 40?
Or a certificate even, that
With a nice frame.
with a nice frame that we can present with her, and, I don't know, maybe a gift card somewhere
Yeah,
that we could do. And,
sounds good.
I mean, she spent many years in Tilton
Right.
helping
She
our,
does artwork, doesn't she? Doesn't she paint or do something? She's an artist. To like Rollins or something?
Yeah.
Where they have nice art supplies.
Yep.
I'll check with Dawn.
I think that would be appropriate. September 22nd, from 4 to 6, that's CASA, the same night as,
A lot of stuff coming
Boy.
on the same night.
well, maybe we can split up. Maybe, maybe I can go to Martha and present her with that, and then you folks can go to CASA and I'll meet up with you, or,
Yes,
so
that's on October 6th.
4 to 6. It's 4 to 6 at 6 Bay Street.
Yeah, that's for Martha.
What day is this, Pat?
This is for Martha.
Oh, for the youth assistance program?
Yes, they're doing it in honor of her. So we're thinking that perhaps we get a certificate thanking her for her community service in town, and a small gift card from Rollins, and she's an artist, so. This is the same night as the CASA. So
CASA was a week before.
CASA's the 22nd,
Yeah.
and this is the 22nd.
Oh, I thought you said it was the 6th.
No, it's the 22nd from 4 to 6.
Oh, okay. I'll put it on the wrong night, too.
It's at 6 Bay Street.
Okay, so the selectmen are meeting at 1 PM.
Yes.
CASA is from 5 to 7.
Well, we can be right at 4 o'clock, and then just take off from there.
It says from 5 PM to 7 PM.
But we could be at Martha's at 4.
Oh, at 4, okay.
And then just head up there if you'd like. I don't really,
Yeah.
or we could split up. I'll take
Yeah.
Northfield and you go to Casa.
So we'll see how it goes that day and just react accordingly, right?
This is next Thursday.
Yeah.
we're talking.
22nd.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, we have a 1 PM selectmen's meeting, which we're going to try to get all the signing payroll and all that,
And your interviews.
and the interviews, and then that's it. And then try to be out of here by 3:30, go to Martha's, and then to Casa. That's why we wanted the, Catherine wanted the night. And when she hears about this, she's probably want to go to that too. So I would think that maybe we could go at 4 and then just all head up if we want to do that. But in any event, I would make a motion that we get a small
Right.
gift card
I
and
like
make a
that.
certificate up
Yeah.
for
Yep.
Martha, thanking her for extensive community
All I
service.
can say is my intent to participate, but whether I do or not
Right.
will depend on that night,
Yep.
and how things are going.
So I can go with you to that on Thursday, because I'd be going to that anyway, so,
The Martha?
yeah.
Yep.
So
Well, maybe you can be our spokesperson.
Yeah, we'll
If
do
we
that.
don't.
Yeah, if you can't make it, for sure, like with the scout thing, that worked out great, because you were able to make it, so,
Okay.
all right.
Not that we don't support her. I mean,
Oh,
she's
no,
just
it's
been
not.
huge in our community. It's just, I'll probably
Very
stay
nice,
back.
yeah.
I'm not sure that I would be,
Spread ourselves over all of it.
going to Casa brings up memories of my best friend who was a therapist who dealt with that all the time. So I haven't been associated with that because it brings up those memories, but I will certainly,
Just a reminder that Friday, the 23rd at 1 o'clock, we're meeting with Attorney Uchida and XLV. And this is the information that Chuck had sent. Anchorage,
oh, man, I didn't put anything down. 1 o'clock?
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Oh, man, I just made an appointment with somebody. Darn it, I got a call. Okay.
And I will come in and gather some information on the planning and zoning part of it, so that.
do you want to keep this with that? So you'll have the file, I haven't even started a file yet, and
I'll just start a file, and I'll get all the zoning information
Yep.
as far as what's permitted, what's not.
Okay,
Put all that in.
1 PM, where are we meeting?
here at the town hall. And then afterwards, anyone that would like to do a site walk, he said be more than welcome, so I would like to go do that.
And that's tomorrow?
No, a week from tomorrow.
Oh, it's the 23rd. Oh, I can do that. Okay.
What I'll
Okay.
do is I'll get this file together, and I will leave it on top of
And that
the
can go in
black file cabinets in Catherine's office. That way, if you're in the town hall, I'll mark it on the outside. You'll be able to go through it and see what you need to see.
Okay, great.
What time is that, Joyce?
1 PM on the 23rd. You notice we're spending more and more times, our books are getting more and more
Yes.
filled. It's
Yeah.
that time of the year. Okay.
Did you want to
Great.
talk about that at all?
Yeah, okay.
And this can go with that file.
So the Pine Spruce, so Joe, I think you're aware of it, but Joe doesn't know that the status reports that we were getting on the Pine Street Bridge,
Yes,
Mr. Holden was filling them out.
I heard
In,
that.
in August, we asked him not to fill out any more on the behalf of
I
Tilton.
recall that. And yet,
In July, well, in April, let me back up. August, we asked him for, July, we asked him for all status reports that he has sent out, copies. To date, we have nothing from Holden. Okay?
really?
Right. So we Joyce has contacted the insurance company themselves
To get copies of
to
it.
get copies. Well, lo and behold, our status report for one of them was in April. Do you have the actual status reports? The April status report what percent of work has been completed to date? 75%. Is the contractor paying his labor and materials? Don't know. What's the anticipated date of completion? June 2011. And then the money's amount paid to the contractor is $74,426. And that was April 25th. July 22nd, another status report, nothing filled out by Holden, except nothing has changed from the last report.
That would be April.
Pardon my French, but a hell of a lot has changed since April.
Right,
So,
place almost washed away, the bridge looks like...
exactly. So we were in touch with Cross Insurance Company, which is the surety bond people. And I talked with Louise Beaumont, the bond manager. And I said, would you, Joyce got to fax over information, and I talked with them, and they were very interested to hear that it's not completed. They were very interested to hear that it's being redone, and that if its work is not started on Friday, that we are in fact going to pull the performance bond. So I was very tomorrow
Tomorrow.
at 7:30.
Time will they be there?
7:30
7:30.
AM.
a.m.
Me too.
Me too?
Yeah.
So I filled it out as best to my knowledge. What was the completion date? May 2011.
16. Yep.
Date of acceptance not completed. What was the final contract price? 108,057. Has full amount been paid? No. Was the work satisfactory? No. Are you aware of any unpaid labor and materials? No. What percent of work has been completed to date? I would say 0 because it's a redo from start. Is the contractor paying his bills? Yes. Is the work being accomplished and progressing satisfactorily? No, not at all. And then I said, please see attached timeline. It will differ from information you have received from Holden Associates. If work does not start on Friday, September 16th, the board has agreed to pull the bond and have the bridge completed by someone else. So that's the copy of, and I sent along with that, when I faxed it over to her, the timeline and the bill. Haven't heard from her, though, have we? But she said that the bond people would be very, very interested to know that the work is, in fact, not completed, and that there is an issue with it, and that they will start calling.
The bond people?
The bond people will start calling the Hilts in Holden.
I hope they call Holden like nobody's business.
So, you got my letter that I wrote Holden and asked why he essentially lied in his report from Cross Insurance, but I have not received a response from
It would seem
that.
as though that Mr. Holden should have realized that those reports were not for him to fill out. This is not his first job, is it? No. I don't think so. And I'm feeling badly about this. It's leaving a real bad taste in my mouth with regard to Holden Engineering and consequently Hilt's Construction, which I've never had any reason to doubt Hilt's Construction before, except for we don't have a bridge.
Right.
I'll bring the coffee. I'll bring a box of Joe. in the morning, so we'll see.
Trust me, I'm not a morning person, but I'll be there.
Okay, just a couple other things. One, to let you know, I did get in touch with Counselor Burton, and we played voicemail tag, and he said that he would be sure to make sure that our letter got to the Assistant Commissioner. Did Mark Morrow say anything today when you saw him? Not a word?
Not a word. About a lot of other things, but not a word about that.
Okay. So what are we going to do about the changes to the employee manual?
I think that what we should do is make sure that everybody has read the changes to the employee manual, and we will take a formal vote on it next week.
You said not to schedule anything next week.
Oh, the week after.
All right, so it'll be the 29th?
Catherine, can we put it on the agenda for the 29th? Also, can we make sure that Norm and Catherine know that we will be voting to read it, and we will be voting on it on the 29th?
Right.
What happened to what?
To Norm.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything. And the rest is all non-public. I mean, there's a ton more, but
I have something I have to talk about.
Yep. I have a couple of things. One is, did we check the haulers to make sure that they were all set? You have the to-be-signed folder down there, right?
oh, I gave it back to Catherine.
Was it all signed?
It's all signed, yes.
Catherine signed
Yep,
it?
except for Norm's didn't sign any of those things.
Okay.
So you still haven't done your minutes yet.
We have in our Selectmen's FYI, we have the DES. This can, I know that you said that it happens, but this really concerns me, the contaminant level violation for bacteria for Alex Ray's property, the common man. That concerns me.
In all the time I worked at that location, it happened 3 times probably in the 8 years I was there. They have a professional company that comes in and treats it, and then over the course of the next few months, they're tested
They
in
test
accordance
it.
with state regulations, and they've always come back into compliance.
Right.
They don't use that water for cooking in the interim, but in conjunction with chemicals, it's used on things like floors and dishes, because they have chemical rinses at the end and heat rinses as well.
Are you okay with it?
So I never felt that it was a safety issue per se, because that water wasn't getting into the mouths of people.
Yeah.
They didn't cook spaghetti in it or whatever. They had big containers of water and whatever.
Oh, okay.
In the past.
But just cleaning issues.
No, it's clean water, and it's not undrinkable necessarily. It just had higher level of certain contaminants, and because if it was totally unusable, they would shut the door and lock it. That's the way the state works. And that was my question. It's like, well, you know.
You get sick if I drink it?
I would, okay, we have a resignation letter from dear fellow members of the Tilton Planning Board. I'm afraid that I must submit my letter of resignation. Work schedules and other obligations prevent me from attending most meetings, and I prefer not to have board dependent on me at the time when I'm likely not to able to participate. My tenure on this board has been educational and enjoyable. I have learned a great deal and met a great number of wonderful individuals. I thank you for the experience. Sincerely, Sarah Paratori. Also, in the same contents, Dear Augusta and members of the Planning Board, the purpose of this letter is to inform you of my intent to resign my seat on the Tilton Planning Board. Effective September 9th, 2011, I hereby relinquish all my rights, responsibility, and privileges as your fellow board member. I recognize the inopportune timing of this notice, but after a recent review of my calendar, I realize the remaining months of this year will be filled with conflicting meetings that I must attend on behalf of my employer. I will not be available to assist with board meetings. Because it is such an important time of the year for our board, I thought it'd be best I step down to allow someone more available to take my place. I have thoroughly enjoyed my tenure as a board member over the last 2.5 years, and I've been thankful for such an opportunity to have served for our residents. I wish you all the best. Respectfully yours, Dina Cowan. It's very sad to lose both of them. They've been a tremendous asset to our board.
Greatly missed.
They will be greatly missed.
And I served with both of them, and they're
Outstanding.
a couple of the good ones, sure.
With that said, we have a couple of openings on the planning board. I would, do you want to make that motion for Rich?
Oh, yes, I'll do that now.
Okay, and then I'll say
Rich
something.
Benson is an
The alternate, right.
on the planning board, and I would like to, I did talk to him, and I asked him, and he said yes, he was willing to be a full member, and the board agreed that they would recommend that he become a full member. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to make Rich Benson a full member of the board.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, with that being said, there are 2 openings on the planning board, an alternate and a regular. There are 2 openings on the park commissioners seats. There is 1 opening on the zoning board. There is 1 opening on the Tilton Northfield Fire District Budget Committee.
Right.
And there is 2 openings on the Winnisquam Regional School District Budget Committee. So if anybody would like to volunteer and be a part of the community, let us know. Can we put this also on the website?
Sure.
So that that's available? I do know that someone has put in for the Fire District Budget Committee, and one of the spots on the Winnisquam Regional School District that someone has put in for, but the other ones are open. Obviously, a lot of them due to Vicky's death, but
What's the other opening on the Parks Commission? I thought it was just 1 for...
they want to go to 7, make so that it's uneven and not 6. So, let's see, that's, we did that. We did police station renovations, the PD evaluations. Okay. We met with the superintendent on Monday and presented the SRO contract. It went very well. One of the issues was that the timing of the contract, they run on a fiscal year, and they run on a school year, we run on a fiscal year, and so that it's a definite increase to them and not in their budget, so they have to go back to the board now and present that to the budget. We offered an alternative, as perhaps maybe they wanted the SRO maybe Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, you know.
4-day weeks to catch up?
A couple, you know, there's a few alternatives, and then put it in for the budget in the 2012. It went very well. She was pleased with the contract part of it, his duties. There were no issues there. So she's going to take a look at it. I said, feel free to give us a call, let us know, you know, if you have any questions, if the board has any questions, would you like us to be there when you present it to the board? And
They understood our concerns, though.
they did, and even though they really would have loved this last winter, if we had done this last winter and the change of SRO, it would have been an increase anyway. There would have been a change. So we have to also keep in mind that it would have been because it was Mr. Penal, Officer Penal, excuse me, Officer Penal versus Officer Patton, and there's a change in wages. Plus, there's a change in health care. So there's a difference.
Why do we change the SRO? Wouldn't continuity be all part of that, or is that?
A request by the school and/or the request by the chief.
Okay.
It's management. So that's why we would do it. So that's done. We have had a couple of days worth of phone conversations back and forth with the Franklin Apartments, the new Franklin Apartments, which is the Bell Peabody. The air conditioning units that are there, the window air conditioning units that we put in, have to be out by September 15th. Today. And there was some misunderstanding. Some of them have the stand-up units like we have here. They can stay in as long as the person is willing to pay for air conditioning in the apartments. But there are a few that have requested to have air conditioning, that have window air conditioners, that need them, that it's a medical necessity, through September 30th. So rather than swapping it out for one of these standalones, I called Chief Ober and asked for a waiver for the 15 days to cover the time. Because next year it's not going to be an issue because we have standalone units.
How many units are affected by this?
There are 3 units affected by this waiver that want to keep them. Most people don't want to keep them because there's an extra charge and they can't afford the extra charge per month for the air conditionings. So I did get a letter from Chief Ober, and it said, New Franklin Apartments located at 380 West Main Street in Tilton is approved to extend window air conditioners use through September 30th. Furthermore, they are approved to extend as needed through October 2011 if our weather pattern warrants. So this was faxed over this afternoon to Stacy, so she's happy with that. So they're happy.
Who removes those air conditioners?
The chief and I have been removing them and putting them downstairs.
Well, when you go to do it, let me know. I'll give you a hand.
Okay, great. So next year, the window air conditioners can only go in the houses that we have, the single-family houses. The upright standalones are the only ones that Bell Peabody can go into Bell Peabody. And we now have 2 different kinds, and only the ones that do not deplete the oxygen and that are dripless can go over to Franklin because they're on oxygen.
Have we enough of those units to cover the need?
I think we may want to do a drive early spring and ask for 3 or 4 more. I don't think we're going to have enough, given that there are a few. I have a request here from a lady that owns her own window air conditioner. So next year, and this is what we didn't count on, next year she needs a standalone, so we don't have one for her next year. We have enough to cover what we placed this year. I think we'll have enough. And then the ones that are in houses, we can put window air conditioners in. So we'll use them, we'll utilize them, but I think that if we put it out there that we could use 3 or 4 more, I think we'll have the need. So early spring, I'll make sure that we put that word out. Once again, the Atkinson Police Department, let me rephrase that. The Atkinson Senior Committee, I say police department because it's my uncle and he's the chief. He's the head of the senior committee, has surplus medical equipment that he's donating to the town of Tilton. So Tom Glant and I are going down Monday to receive that. So we'll have more medical equipment. So I thank the town of Atkinson. Joyce, this invoice for the mango,
Yes.
that's going to go in under the, we will further talk with Tom, but that is going to be in under the $20,000 for the Grange. So I'll just sign it. Okay. Joe, is that the only thing you had was single stream, or you have other things you want to talk about?
I went to a mid-state regional coordinating council meeting, transportation for seniors and disabled. They're working on the standards for drivers for the 5310 grant. What it's looking like is that 5310 grant is only going to affect places like the Friend. Right now, the only person who qualifies is the Friends RSVP program in Concord. That doesn't mean that some of these other programs won't come into the fold, but it's going to be a fairly stringent standards program that goes along with it for reimbursement, which a small community-based, hey, I need a ride today outfit might not qualify for. That said, everybody and Jane was at least one of those meetings for the volunteer drivers program, knowing what the standards are and taking a part in the process can only be good for the entire process, if not necessarily get us reimbursed for anything. So that's what the RCCs are working on. One thing which to me was exciting because I didn't realize, which might not be anything for you, but I got this. We have our meetings at the Senior Center in Belmont, and I noticed that they have at the Senior Center, they have this little monthly newsletter thing, and they have the menus for the thing, and they have some games and whatever. And I don't know if that's something that the chat, I should say, the Tilton Senior Center might want to incorporate, but that right there was the big thing I got out of the meeting yesterday. That actually applies to Tilton.
Right.
Well, it's interesting because when you talk about the 5310, there is a companionship program that the Franklin VNA works out of its senior companions, and the seniors themselves pay
37 cents a month.
$2.50, and then the Franklin VNA pays $2.50 an hour for the person that's driving. And then the senior pays 37 cents a mile.
That's not a 5310, that's a companion
It's a
type thing,
companion
right?
type of thing. It's something that's repetitive. So if somebody needed groceries every Thursday, taking them to grocery, I can think of a couple of people right here and now, but that we do every week. It's the same person that we every week faithfully calls, could I be taken to the grocery store and Walmart to get my prescriptions? That type of thing would qualify for the senior companion program, and they pay. So if we can bring that senior companion program, which Franklin V&A will help us to do, bring that to Tilton, we'll get more volunteers for riderships for that kind of thing in Tilton.
I think all the resources that we can get can only be of help. One thing that I'm interested in getting out of this 5310 grant information that would apply for us is the intake part of it for both the clientele and the drivers. They have
Reinhardt, Heather Dodo, Lady Cradle, and Holt.
Cindy, it's Cindy.
There's
It's downstairs, too. He did it all over.
something that I hadn't thought of. I don't know if it applies to Tilton necessarily, but as the program expands, it may well, is how do you decide what drivers to put with what people? It might be small enough now that, you know, that Mrs. Smith could go with Jane Alden, because they're going to have plenty to talk about or whatever. But how do we decide ultimately when it gets to be semi-impersonal, what drivers go with what people? If somebody new wants to come in, it's like, what do you say? Do you have, there's a very specific questionnaire. Do you have senior issues?
We do. We have a questionnaire that, you know, we go down the line, and I'm the one that usually does that. And when they call Catherine first, because it's on the brochure, when they call Catherine and then they'll call me, I'll ask specific questions. But you'll be very proud of me. I'm delegating.
Oh, good for you.
I am delegating this to a new person within chat now, and we're going to go through a little training process here, but it's time that somebody else did that. In if we ever got our website up and running, but we could do it online and then just pick up the task. But there are certain people that we have tried different folks with, and then those people will call up and say, and, you know, for no rhyme or reason, no negative or positive, I just want this person.
Mm-hmm. They're comfortable with that person.
They're comfortable with that person. So we know now that if one person calls, the very first person I go to ask on that list is this person. Mm-hmm. And if that person's not available, then I'll go down the line. But we have certain people now that are regulars. I see it. I see your hand raised. If we have people that are regulars, then we go...
I will continue to, and once those standards are finalized, I would definitely bring a copy of the standards and give it to yourself and Tom Gallant as from the chat, and distribute it to the Board of Selectmen as well, so they can see what that's about. And whether it affects us or not, it might well, we can glean some of the information and get some stuff from Community Bridges or the Friends or RSVP that might well apply to us and help us out as well.
The one thing, go ahead, Jane, you can do it.
No, I just wanted to say to Joe that I went to the initial meeting and got contacts, and I still get the emails. I haven't gone back to the other meetings because it became very clear early on to me.
The day that you and I sat there.
That it was not going to apply to us because of some of the red tape involved and some of the, for instance, insurances that needed to be held by the drivers. So, but what I did do, Joe, is that I brought back some of those things that we can benefit from and introduced and we've discussed them in the last chat meeting we had. In other words, some of the things that we should look for in drivers, some of the things we should look for in the people we offer rides to.
I hadn't thought of some of those things when they were bringing them
I
up.
hadn't either. And I thought those were very, very good points. And I did, as I say, bring those back to chat. That's all I wanted to say there.
And any future things I will, with regard to that, I will forward them in your direction as well.
The one thing I am getting the runaround with rides with the seniors is that with the state, I'm trying to get a standard handicap sticker, handicap placard for the chat committee if we drive someone.
Yeah.
Not
have, like,
specific to this
drive-over
person, not,
available?
exactly, not specific to, Mrs. Smith and
Yeah.
whatever, but to the chat committee of the town of Tilton, and they own them, and this is what it's for, so that it's not, but I'm getting, because it's non-specific, and it doesn't fit into this category, they don't know where to put it.
There's no other box on that?
They don't know where to put it. So,
Next meeting, I'll bring that up as a concern. See what they say. They might have some information on that.
because that would be key to us in doing that, because there are some, in order for them to go and get their own, they have to go to the doctors. There's some can't afford to go to the doctors to get a some doctors require them to have a visit in order to get them to sign the papers, and some can't afford that. And then you have to worry about them bringing it every time they come with you.
I find that most do have one already, but what you have to do is remind them to come.
So,
well, whatever works. And if there's anything that I can, bring up at these meetings that is of concern to us locally here in Tilton, please don't hesitate to mention it. Oh, you're always welcome to come. It's the second Wednesday and the second Tuesday of every month. We have the volunteer driver program on Tuesday afternoon, and then we have at the CAP in Concord, and then we have at the Belmont Senior Center, the regular Mid-State Council meeting the following day. So you're always welcome to come and ask questions, input, and I would love, quite frankly, this is a prime time to bring this up, is that rider providers, people who provide transportation and services to the seniors, elderly, and disabled individuals in the central region, these various providers give presentations, and this is what we do. And the other day, it was the Community Bridges Program. And what do they do? And then granted state independent living. And what do we do? Anytime that the chat committee, once we really get up and running, we've got a senior center and meals or Meals on Wheels or whatever we should opt to do, love to have come over and give that so that the government agencies around here can see what we've got going, and it's planting seeds for me. Because if later we want to go to the Belknap Merrimack CAP and apply for funding and grants through them, we've already got a foot in the door with Jenny Schneider and Pam Jolivet, and they know exactly what we're doing, and that we're a part of the general process, which is always good for the state people.
Exactly, absolutely. Okay, looks like our next person on the agenda is here, so Dave, why don't you come on up, and I'm really anxious to hear what you have to say. Sure. Move some stuff out of the way here.
This is preliminary at the moment, but it's not going to change a lot. Grange Hall.
Oh, good. Now I know where I know this guy. surveyor for the grade?
I guess some of the deeds is called the horse shed. Obviously, there's no horses there. Found the monuments up here. There's a pin out here by the utility pole. There is some discrepancy with the right-of-way width on Grange Road. We went with the more conservative, or leaving less land for the Grange Hall per se. But this is consistent with surveys down here and surveys up above.
Okay.
This is the edge of pavement. You can see that there is paving across the property line. There's a catch basin in that corner that goes down to another catch basin here, and then outlets down on the other side of this retaining wall. Sewer line, there's that big oak tree that's just for a reference we show.
So the end of the retaining wall, is this where this pin is?
The end of the retaining wall is up here.
Oh, so we own in back of the retaining wall?
Well, the retaining wall comes down and corners up to here.
Oh, here's the retaining wall.
Yep.
Oh, so it's at an angle.
Yep.
So it's actually way out there.
So this is him?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we own on the table.
Yes.
This one, where we saw the pin out here.
Yep.
What was that?
I talked to Frank Yerkes, and he uses some of those. It's a, for lack of a better term, it's a spike. We call them
rebar.
Bridge spikes. It wasn't a rebar.
Okay.
Because originally I thought it was when we had seen it out there, but it's just a spike, and a lot of surveyors use those for traverse points or stations because they don't rot away.
Right.
Frank does use those. It wasn't one of his, but I know Brian Bailey and a couple others use those.
Right.
And I believe that's what it is. It's not consistent with any of the deeds to be out there. So
it's in no man's land.
So I was going to say, as far as the boundary goes, it's nothing.
Okay.
So preliminary, do you feel that our building is on their property?
You do have roof overhang. That's what the dashed line is here. And there definitely is roof overhang over the property line. I mean, it's right up to the foundation.
Yep.
It's, those kind of meander. So, there might be some spot where it may be, but that has been there long before the deed was ever created, so.
Right.
Yeah,
I would 1 inch or 4 inches of overhang for the eaves are good.
Now, this one from the road, do you know how many feet we have there from the road?
Oh, it is 20 scale. To anywhere in particular on there?
Well,
or the closest point?
Yeah, the closest point.
On a perpendicular line, you're talking like 14, 15 feet. This is that little fence that runs along the top of the bank. So that
So
cuts
we own
in.
beyond the little fence?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's not much. It's not a lot of useful land, but
Right.
it's
Oh,
still...
you'd be surprised what land that use that
So
land
how many
might
more
be.
feet does that add?
Beyond the fence, between the fence and our boundary.
it's like another 14, 15 at the far end. This is where it,
That's exactly where he wants to live.
That's exactly where he wants to put it, but it's not his property.
It's not his property.
So for just a little travel way, you'd need, what, at least 20 feet with another 4 feet for shoulders?
If he wants to cut.
one way or two way.
He wants to cut right across here.
I can make it concrete. I'm assuming.
I mean, this drops off there too, so you're going to have
Right.
slope issues. Yeah, he's either going to go down or come up.
Now, I have a question. When you were saying your pins, did you agree with the representative
I haven't set them yet,
Oh,
but
I mean, just preliminary.
but yes, what they did is it's good work.
Okay.
But they didn't, but he didn't survey that line.
He didn't do
No.
this pin.
Probably,
And
that's
he
why.
didn't do this pin.
Right.
Right.
When, in talking to Frank, the original work that he had done for this was done quite a few years ago for a prior owner.
Yes.
So that's why he hasn't,
He went on off of that.
yeah,
Okay.
which is just pretty standard practice if you've got that.
Okay.
He hasn't gone back out
How do you
to...
mark this?
That is, I mean, we could probably, I would suggest, put a railroad spike in. You know, it's
And
something
then it's
that,
smooth.
yeah.
I know where you can get some.
Oh, I've got a few, but
I've got a little pile out on the trail.
Well, that's interesting. I don't like this here because it allows us less, but this is actually where the edge of the road is.
yeah, this is the edge of the pavement.
Setback.
No, that's the edge of the pavement. I don't show any setbacks on here.
No, I mean, this area right here, yes?
No, this is the edge
This
of
is the pavement, and this is the
state
property
may be
line.
Yep. All right, so that's the state right-of-way.
Right.
Yes.
Or town, is that
Maybe.
town there?
No, that's
That's state?
road.
That's a state
It's a
road.
state
thing.
road.
State road.
Well, now's a good chance to get it over from the state.
Well, the other thing is to call the state and see what the setbacks are at that particular point. You can give them a map and lot and they'll tell you what the setbacks are.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big a deal.
For,
Well, yeah, it is, because we're paving it this year. We have a donation of a pavement for this area here,
Right.
so I think we should know that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. then you call
How many feet is this here? Is that enough for a car right there?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, I'd say so. Gotta make sure I use the right scale.
They go right in front of the ramp. We're parking in
about-
front of the ramp now.
It's about 20 feet. I mean,
Oh,
The
take
what?
out the hostage.
Dan Hostas.
No, if you call the state and give them the map and lot number, call District 3, they'll tell you what the setback is at that point, right in front of that lot.
What's that little thing right there?
that's just an angle point, and
Oh,
what I did for the right-of-way is I held 49 and a half or 3 rods off of the wall.
Right.
There's survey work over here, survey work further up.
Right.
It seems like everyone either held 24 and 3/4 off a center line, or where there's some wall up there, there's a cemetery, they used existing monumentation.
And chances are that's what it is along there. I mean, I have no doubt that's what it is, but I do know from all the years of calling and checking, they really got erratic at some time. You know, sometimes they'd have 12, other times it would be 20, the couple of times it was 40 some odd feet. I mean, it's never the same anywhere. That's why you have to ask for specific lots.
It's, there is an older layout that the
Yeah.
state calls for that, when this
Yeah.
used to be Route 3.
Right,
And at that point, it's 2 rods, which is
Yeah.
only 33 feet.
yes,
But it was widened at least 3 times
Yes.
in the, I want to say, like 1700s to, and it's very difficult to kind of place where those widenings are.
right.
But
But the other thing is, even if it is a state right-of-way, the state may not care if you just want to pave it. They just don't want anything there that's going to interfere with what they do.
Obstruct it,
But
right?
I would say, don't pave out to the road without talking to them.
yeah, usually they're concerned with access points. They don't, this is actually fairly wide for an access point. They really don't like that.
Yeah,
50 feet is usually the maximum, and that's got to be getting pretty close to that. Yeah, it's like close to 60.
yeah,
Because they like to be able for traffic to funnel out in one spot instead of having...
right.
Now, you take this survey and then you go in and permanently put the markers, and then you record it. Well, we record it.
Say, if
We record it when you stamp it.
Mylar and
Yeah.
the correct certification, but yes, it can be recorded.
Do we get a copy of this preliminary one?
If you would like. I mean, I can give you, I was going to mark it preliminary, but I couldn't find my stamp this afternoon.
can you just write it on there?
I can.
And that'll give them something to work with when they're over there. doing your stuff at the Grange, and then you go ahead and, looks good to me.
So we just call the state and ask them the map and lot number, and we can get the setback.
Yeah, they'll give you what the setback is, and what they're saying the setback is in that area.
Okay,
But they're pretty good.
that's great. Well, we have a little bit more in the back,
Yeah,
and definitely more on the side,
Yeah.
which we differ from,
Right.
because the pavement is probably 6 or 7 feet, I would say, off of that, or more. Well, actually, it looks a little bit more there, but because of the state in the front, we're losing some.
What is this little line here?
That's the pavement, the edge of the
Oh, that's the
pavement.
edge of...
That's where their pavement is now. So that, remember we said their pavement is on our property?
Right.
We were right.
Does our eave hanging over that property line present us with any kind of a problem?
No, because ours has been in there since
I
1800s.
wonder who would sell property right underneath our eave that was already in existence?
Well, curiously, this came out in 2 tracks,
right.
and this was the original track line. So they only conveyed a portion of the carriage shed at one point.
Yeah.
Really?
They did what?
The current deed is made up of 2 tracks. This came out, I want to say, probably like maybe 10 years before this piece, back in the early 1900s. There was a prior description for the church, the Methodist church lot, but when it ceased to being used as a church, that dissolved and went back into the, depending upon what time period, either the Phil Bricks or the Phil Brooks.
Yes.
Fascinating history.
Well, he doesn't have prescriptive rights for his pavement because that wasn't
No.
built until what? When that's fairly recent.
2000,
Oh, yeah.
right.
He's the one that paid that. I mean, he just,
Arbitrarily, it would seem.
Was there
whoever
a
it
site
is.
plan?
Yes, and it's well over the setback.
Well, his site plan was for the building. only.
Setback, it's on our
He
land.
did that after.
There's no setback at all, right?
Well, even in the back,
Yeah.
it's over the setback.
You know, you hire a paving contractor, they go in and they just,
Because he did
They
have,
pave.
just his corner piece had been surveyed.
Right.
And so he just kind of went over the bounds. When they pave it, they can pave all that.
See, what he wants to do. Road here.
He wants
Yeah, that's leverage for us.
this way,
I love leverage.
fill this up, come this way, and have parking here. What we want to do, and then give us this spot for our city parking, and take down the trees, but that means that all comes out, and this part is our land anyway, most of it.
But over here, this is going to have to get a lot of fill too.
I was going to say,
That drops downhill.
Not necessarily, not a lot.
there's,
This
Pretty
corner
much,
does,
and it's-
that's it, but not this part up here.
I remember standing there looking at it. I
you're
thought it
back
was
in,
down.
I think it drops down, but it's more or less flat as it goes
it drops
out
down
toward the back.
slightly,
Yeah.
but I mean, you've got
This,
wetlands.
this is
Yeah.
wetlands here, so we'd only be going up to here. See this part here, and it doesn't really drop that much. Here, however, he has to fill in all of this, and he wants to come this way into here. What we would like to see is that we have a common area of parking on this side of the building where he had to pave and pave, see if we can pave up to our building and have that common area. And then have this space here as elderly as well. And then have him access, because he has a curb cut here, and access up here into the parking lot, rather than come this way and fill in here, and then we lose all the trees. But it looks like from your, that those trees are on our property anyway. those big trees.
I could understand him wanting a little path through there
The
for
only
people to
thing I
walk
want to say to
from the
you,
parking
though,
lot.
is if you
but-
have them paved right up to your building, you're going to have to take special care on the drainage so that that water doesn't run right down your side wall and undermine your,
Well, it'd have to be flashed and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Drained.
And I was going to say,
Catchment.
You have a drainage right in the right in the
whether or
corner,
not that would be able to handle it would be.
putting it in there.
but the other thing is if you're going to go to here, make sure what's at the building, it will kind of slope
Go out,
down.
exactly, right,
Because
And flow
otherwise
towards
you'll-
his property?
right.
Yeah, why not? He's got the drainage there.
But isn't this where he said this was on his
Currently,
property?
we own the drain, though.
Over,
No,
We own the location.
He said
You
this.
own the
Yeah.
catch basin.
I thought he was saying down here it was on his property.
no, in the front, Jane.
It wouldn't it would cost too much to have a walking path through that back.
Oh, it would, thousands of dollars.
Yeah, but he wants to put a driveway there. It's got to cost less than a driveway, doesn't it?
He still has to fill it,
Oh, I know he does.
and it's
Sure.
going to cost just as
Less
much.
filled than a driveway.
Right.
I
And
can
then he has-
understand wanting to be able to walk up through there.
Well, I personally think.
Better than driving, even.
Getting rid of the yoga place, and letting them move someplace where there's better parking, and keeping this
He
limited
wants the
down.
rent, and I can understand that.
it was kind of zooey when we were there,
Yes.
It was.
especially early in the morning. I know
Well,
it calmed down as the day went on,
So
but.
if he had an entrance there, would people have to walk in the road or around snowbanks to get over there?
They would unless there was a path coming around the backside of the building. Because he wants to be down in that area down there
Yes.
with his
You
parking
give him
lot.
a walking easement, walkway easement
Well,
along the
they're
front.
walking on the side of the road, Joyce. It's not
Yeah,
our,
there's
they
a
would
state
be walking on
right-of-way
the side of the road.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that.
Why would the town want to keep their property?
Right, I mean, we wouldn't kick them off
I'm
that.
just thinking though, with snowplows and snowbanks, then they
It wouldn't be a snowbank in front of us, and Dennis would clear that all the time. So it wouldn't be a snowbank in front of our building.
Where is our snow dump? Well, we don't have a snow dump, but I mean, where is our snow catchment area?
Storage.
Yes.
Well, he plows Grange Road in the winter, so he must just push it along the side of the road.
And is Dennis plowing the Grange currently? With his little
Yeah.
pick-em-up truck?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Yep, it's all cleared.
Interesting to see where he's putting that snow. Maybe he's just plowing it out in the
Pushing it
road.
off. I would be willing to bet that he is, here's our building, I'd be willing to bet he's pushing it off right here.
Off the back.
He'll have to plow a portion of
If he
Fifth Street.
goes this way and then goes back.
He pushes it in back of the building where the retaining wall is.
Right.
That's where the snow storage is,
Yeah.
right now.
So,
Well, I think you were wise to have the survey done.
yeah, I do too. Now we know. We'll have it recorded so that 5 years from now, so somebody won't say, well, it wasn't recorded, it's not legal.
They're still legal even if they're not recorded.
Well, I know, but it seems like you have a lot more hassle with them that way.
I would like it, even if it's temporary, a copy of that.
All right, I'll take it downstairs and put it on the copier and
Just-
give you.
I was going to say, I can leave it with you. I was just going
You
to,
sure?
yeah, I'll just mark it preliminary. I just,
Okay.
I've got, this should be 2011, just some minor things that I didn't catch on.
I don't really care about that part.
Yeah.
I'm just, for my own, I just want to,
Right.
I actually want to show
If you
Tom.
roll it up tight enough, you can use it as a club,
I don't, I
so to
just,
speak.
before we leave, I still just want you to make me a
Okay,
copy.
I'll
I don't
make
want
you
to
a
be
copy.
responsible for
Right,
that.
and then that way it'll stay
And I'll
till we get our permanent
set
one.
the markers
Yes.
and reflect them on the plan as well.
Okay?
And how many copies would you like?
Normally 2 Mylars and 3 prints.
Okay.
1 Mylar for the map drawer and 1 for the registry.
Registry?
And then,
Did Mr. Bernard know that we had a survey done? What was his reason?
No, he said, oh, great.
That
Then
way,
then we
we'll
know.
Yeah.
Then we know. He's fine with that. But he's also getting not an engineered plan, but a plan together to come forward with us
Right.
so that we could get the shared parking, so we can figure out how to go forth with that parking issue. Unless we rent to the yoga people. Just kidding.
I think it's good to think, because he's not always going to own that. I mean, that you guys are always going to own the Grange, but he's not always going to own that place. The more you can have,
Yeah.
carved in stone. And
We can't sell the Grange, it goes back to the heirs if we do. That's why we'll always own the Grange.
So I think it's good public purpose.
Or until all the heirs are gone, then we'll.
Yeah, there's always somebody kicking around.
There's always.
It might be expensive to find them, but there's always someone kicking around.
Kind of like this town hall, it's the same with the town hall. It's ours to use forever, but if we quit using it, it goes back to the Tilton family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Judy Tilton, Joy Tilton, and you told me that Gail Twombly, she's even a Tilton.
Yes.
There's, you'll find them.
Mary Tilton, Peter Tilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them around.
Wow.
There are a lot
Of
of
course, I
Tiltons.
don't know, they want this building, but
I don't think they want the building.
Location though,
It is a good location.
I guess we
Heck
could
of
give
a
it back to
bakery
them
building.
and let them take care
I
of
was
all
going to
the
say, what a
problems.
brick this thing is. Nothing but out-of-pocket expenses.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very, very much. It's
I'll
wonderful. You'll
go down in the next week or two and get you the final copy.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate it tremendously.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
You too. Thanks, Dave.
When will you be placing those posts? Soonish?
Week or two. I'll be
Just curious.
setting steel rebar, probably leave them up just a little bit, and I have orange caps
Yep.
that I put on top.
Okay.
Okay?
Terrific. Thank you.
What Main Street is.
I like a railroad tie. Like a railroad tie, it's smooth, but it's in the ground. Yes.
Does Tom need to see a copy of this?
Yeah.
Or
I'm going to make a copy.
of this, Bill? Does he have any, so he has nothing to do with this, this is just part of our grant?
He knows the total amount, but...
He does, okay.
Right, but, yeah, we could make a copy of it.
Yeah.
Can I just skip down 1 second? You can talk about it. I don't...
I was just going to ask if I could leave it like 5:15, because we have open house.
What,
Yeah,
just
well, I
have,
hope we can too.
Yeah.
just have Sandy, what
Yeah,
Sandy
I-
has to go through, and then we're finished.
Well, we have
Well,
the
we have a
non-public,
non-public.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll make mine quick. I was just going to say, and I know you're aware of this too, Joyce, he told me, he told you. Dennis called me, and he has an issue at Riverfront. He got complaints about the rail out on the water side and on the, the dock out there. And he said the problem is the kids climb up on top of that rail and they jump into the water. And they've worked the whole rail to where it's quite loose now. And he said they've taken, they had 2-inch lag bolts that held it in place. They've taken those out and they've put bigger bolts in, but he said the problem is the way it is, it's only a matter of time before
I saw
they-
the bolts and what's going to happen that
Yes.
within 5 years, that thing's going to be in the water.
Right.
Because there's not going to be anything left to
Yeah,
hold
because he
into.
said that the main frame itself is also, those bolts are working the holes bigger and bigger.
Yep.
And so he can only go so long with the bolts, and then something has to be done. So he said he doesn't know what should be done, and he's looking if any of the board members have any thoughts on
The
what
one
could be
thought
done.
that I had, he didn't like.
Oh,
I thought that if we put jagged, broken glass at the top of that rail, nobody would get up on the top of it. And they wouldn't be shaking it like this. And he went, no.
what's that stuff
Liability,
called?
he said.
What's that stuff that you throw out to give everybody flat tires?
Oh, the
Strip out?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But anyway, as far as how do
That was
we-
my suggestion
Yeah.
anyway.
How do we deal with that? Because first of all, the kids aren't supposed to be swimming there, and they're using it as a jump-off point. to
There's
get
signs that say no swimming anyway, aren't
Yes.
there? So signage, extra signage is not going to do any good.
No,
The broken glass idea is out.
yes.
Additional enforcement is the only thing, that somebody's going to have to stand there and say, hey, don't do that.
Well, the only thing that I could think of was you go out there with someone who is very familiar with building someone that's got a lot of experience. Not that Dennis doesn't, but I mean, and you look at it and you see what can be done that might be able to beef up that railing to where even if they do climb on it, they're not going to, to damage it. I mean, I don't know what else to tell them unless you just take the railing off, and if
That's that's not an option either.
Oh, I know.
Wouldn't think, right?
But, or the other thing is make the railing much higher to where they don't want to get on it. I don't know what else.
That would be more like being in a jail, wouldn't it? I don't know. I guess can get a construction guy, but Dennis is a construction guy, isn't he?
Well, he has experience. There might be someone out there that knows more than he does. What about if you had the rail come and you stop it and you leave an opening in the railing?
For them to jump off of.
To where they can get through and jump off the bed of the
Doesn't that create an attractive nuisance? Now we're promoting.
Doing it now.
Yeah, I know, but we have signage that says no. If we take and give them a place to jump off and somebody drowns, now we've promoted that as a jump-off spot, no matter what the sign says.
Can't you get railings with spikes? People have that in...
That goes right back to my broken glass thing.
But that's just...
It was a joke, Pat.
Architecturally, that's an acceptable kind.
Yeah, if we put wrought iron railings with the
spike
points
railing.
on the top.
Yeah.
It's an absolute shame to have to do something like that.
But that's decorative.
Yeah, I guess, but...
You went across there with wrought iron railing with the little...
You're fishing through there and trying to get the fish over the wrought iron railing and stuff. It's just gonna... And it's an extra expense for the
There's other places
town.
to fish along there.
It just feels so bad to have to do something like that.
Well, the other thing is...
The railings are falling off the piers at the...
What if we build...
Riverfront Park.
What if we build a picket-like fence, thick, but with pickets? It doesn't have to be high off the ground, so it wouldn't interfere with fishing, but it wouldn't be conducive to stand on. I mean, I don't know what else to suggest.
I don't know.
Except take the fence off, and if they fall off the pier, they fall off the pier.
Yeah, that's not good. There's little kids that go out there and families. I've seen them out there, dads with their little kids and stuff, and it's a tough question, no doubt, and undoubtedly something has to be done.
Right.
If we keep going, I asked Dennis, why can't we drill a hole right down through it and use like a bolt, with a nut on one end and a head on the other and big washers, and just screw it together like that instead of like using a regular corkscrew type screw. And he says it'll just split the wood if they get up there and there's that rocking action of the wood splits.
The other thing is
that'll be bad.
The other thing is take off the fence and put another course of wood on top of the floor of the pier, so that you've got a thicker base right there and then put your rail back on and go down through both courses of wood. So that instead of being this thick at the end of the pier, it would be this thick with, bolts going down through that.
That would certainly make it more sturdy. Again, another expense to the town.
Well, it really doesn't matter. What's there now is going to end up in the water, like you say, because the kids won't stay off of it. They're using it as a springboard to go into the water.
And I can't imagine, I don't think it's a proper use of police to have them police the railing of the pier.
We got it, right. I mean, the only time they wouldn't have to be there is just in the wintertime.
Yeah, I said something to one of the parks people, and they said, well, we'll just look at the tape, and it's like, no, that's just spinning our wheels. Really, come on.
So what are you going to chase them down and say, don't do that anymore? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The next hot day, they'll be back out there again.
And quite frankly, as a 16-year-old boy, I'm up there with them. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm that guy. So there's got to be a way to keep it sturdy.
Your fault.
I paved the way, no doubt.
Well, the only thing that I've seen there that I did go down and talk to the kids with, I was there doing a walkthrough last year, And the kids were running towards Riverfront Place, towards that building, and leaping over the fence into the water right there at the corner of the building. There's huge boulders right there. And I went, ooh.
Yeah, it's like, come on, and
All right.
broken neck, broken back.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway, I'm just bringing it up. He says if anyone has any ideas, please let him know. And I'll be quiet now so we can finish up with our non-public.
I've already gotten responses on the interviews. I was sitting there sending them out. I did them in the reverse order, but I got them. They won't respond.
So they're coming?
Yeah, well,
Great.
I have to open up and find out.
Yep.
All right. So we've talked about everything. Where's my,
So now non-public.
well, let me see my agenda here. Let me see my agenda to make sure we're covered everything.
Yeah, well, we just have a couple little things in non-public, I guess, to bring me up to date. No,
No,
should be.
no.
I have a question.
Reports from
that
selectmen, approval of minutes.
Do what?
I have a question, perhaps you guys know, certainly the chief would.
The Vicky Virgin Food Drive, we didn't talk about. We need to talk about that because that's going to be, we want to do that soon.
Okay.
Isn't this article yet, though?
Yes.
There was?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
With regard to the special duty and grant time, which
Yep.
is like almost 100 hours.
59 hours, yep.
59 a grant and 35.50 of special duty, and I was just wondering what that grant was and what the special duty was.
The grant is the ticket or click it, and there's another one that's all summer long.
Like seat belts for
I know
kids
what the
under 18.
seatbelt thing is, but what is 59 hours?
Well, they have
Not
to do
yet.
it in certain, there's like parameters. when they-
Do that after the non-public.
I talked to
Yep.
Lieutenant Moss about it, and he said they have to do it in certain windows and certain weeks. So they even tell you, not only are you going to do it between 4 and 6, but you're going to do it this week of the month. And so this was the last week
And
of
so
it.
we charge those hours off to the Department of Transportation?
We billed them.
Yes,
Yeah,
we get billed. We get reimbursed
Good
from.
for us then.
it is.
Okay,
'Cause
and the
it's
special
like-
duty?
It's highway safety is basically putting people on the street, and they're paying for it.
I'm all for that.
And we bill them right after. So this was the last week of it for this year. We won't have it again until then.
So all those monies, the 59 hours gets reimbursed.
Right away.
Excellent.
The special duty is when somebody wants a special detail.
A police officer directing traffic around the
Right.
Asplin guys or whatever.
Right. Yeah, we have the
And
water.
again, they pay for
They
that.
pay for that,
Yeah.
Pat,
$65 an hour.
why don't we do the non-public and then when we come out of
Okay.
non-public? Because we
Bravo.
also need to get the personnel things from the chief so we can look at those and then talk about Vicky.
All right,
Okay?
and then you can go, okay.
Yeah. That way she can leave at 5:15.
Joe's reading the confidential about
All right, I'd like to make a motion to enter into non-public as per RSA 91A:3. Legal matters, consideration and negotiation of pending claims of litigation, which has been threatened in writing and filed against the body or agency or subdivision thereof, or any against a member thereof because of his or her membership in such body or agency.
Second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
We're ready.
Okay, I make a motion that we seal the minutes of the non-public as they pertain to legal until the matters are resolved and as they pertain to personnel permanently.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. We have one more thing on our agenda, and that is the Vicky Virgin Food Drive. We want to be able to have a food drive Tilton-wide that we will collect cans and food for the food pantry at the Congregational Church. Heather has contacted the minister. He's on board with it. He's excited about it. Dave Fox has some plastic bags that we can deliver to folks in town. It'd just be a matter of who's going to deliver them all. We need to make up a small kind of a card that staples them all together to let them know that this is what we want to do to carry Vicky's spirit each year. And for those that cannot donate, don't want us to go to their homes, they can drop them off at Town Hall. Billy Lawrence said they can drop off there. The PD, Fire Department, Police has said it was okay. You may be able to get a spot at Tilton Diner.
I'm going to talk to the people at Tilton Diner on the way back and see if we can get them dropped off there.
I'm sure maybe LaChance will probably allow us to do that. And drop-off points. And when I mentioned this to somebody in one of our committees, they said, well, what if we didn't want to, what if we just wanted to make a monetary donation? Well, monetary donations are always nice. The other idea to that, too, is that if they wanted to drop in a gift card to Hannaford's or Market Basket or Shaw's, that would be nice. And that way they could, the church could fill in the spots that are needed, that, you know, meats or milk or breads or things like that that they don't get every single week, and that would help. So we need to pick a weekend in which we're going to do this, and then we could work towards just doing it.
Well,
So,
I was going to say, why don't we set up a day where we can all get together and sit down and work on it, put a plan in action, you know, so that we know what, give us a direction.
because we're going to need flyers made, we're going to need things on the little bags.
Right.
The fire department is on board for picking them up with us. The PD's on board for helping us pick up on Saturdays. Other volunteers within the town have all offered to help. So we need to get an afternoon and just sit down and talk about it so that we can get a Saturday. And we have like a 9 to 12 that we'll be picking things up, or 9 to 11 or something.
Yeah.
What day?
As far as what's coming up, we don't have anything about Monday or Tuesday. Have you got any openings?
Monday the 19th is...
bad,
19th or the 20th?
If it's late in the afternoon on the 19th, I can do it.
Yep.
Late in the afternoon, because I'm going to Atkinson in the morning.
Okay, well then, let's do it late in the afternoon. What time do you want to shoot for? 4, 5, 6?
I'm good on Monday at any time in that neighborhood, whatever's good for you.
3 or 4 o'clock? That's good?
Okay.
4?
So put down 3?
3.
Can you be back by then, or is that rushing?
Well, we're leaving at 10 in the morning. I'm hoping it's an hour down, hour back. I'm hoping we'll be back.
Oh, you're just going down for equipment, you're not going down to visit?
No.
Okay.
Tom's coming with me.
So we'll put down 3.
Right here?
Yep.
Yep. I'll put down workshop for collection, Vicky collection.
Vicky Virgin Food Drive. And then we're going to shoot for a day, probably a weekend, one of the first 2 weekends in October to have it done?
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll make all of our plans and then start working on, the cards and the flyers and, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Sounds like a plan. So we've got everything,
And I make a motion, we adjourn.
and I second that motion.
Well, seeing as I'm the only one who hasn't voted, I'll say aye.
You want to kill the camera?
I will.
Thank you.